Hi folks, Brian here. This week we do have a video version of our episode, as we usually do. It's available at patreon.com/latenight. Also, now that we're doing ads on these, you can get an ad-free version on our Patreon as well. So sign up at any tier to get the ad-free version as well as the video version. Also, if you sign up at the $5 a month or more tier, you'll get a mini episode every week. All right, enjoy the show with Lina. All right. Do you have any other questions or anything?
I'm grand. Let's talk.
Start?
I mean, do be prepared to teach me a lot about your pop culture.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's all. I'll say that there will be a cultural divide here.
Well, I want to hear. This is what we should get into. I think we've started actually.
We've actually started.
We have started for real.
This is it. Yeah. This is the bit you put on Patreon where they see how we started the podcast.
That's right.
With me going, I don't know anything about nothing.
Hold on. Before we get into that, Brian,
Yes.
are you using an iPad as a stand for that lamp?
Okay, that's a really good question. And I was debating if anyone would notice that. That iPad is defunct. It no longer works. The lamp normally lives here in the center of the table, because this is not normally the recording table, only when you're in this room. Normally the lamp is here, but I had to put the lamp somewhere else, and that iPad was over there. Now, there was a second iPad on top of it, which you were recently drawing on.
I was.
But that iPad has a cover. This iPad over here no longer has a cover, but it doesn't work.
So it's a coaster.
Is this the one you dropped in the bath?
That's a different iPad. This is an older. I believe this is the first iPad ever. So this thing is probably 10 years old, maybe more.
Wow, America really is the land of plenty, where you just go,
We're just giving out
iPads for everybody.
Last night at
One
Halloween,
for the bath,
they were giving
one
out
for the
iPads on the
lamp.
street. Yeah.
Is that? I should have gone trick or treating last night. Should I?
Free electronics.
I did not go trick or treating.
You did get the spoils of some candy, though.
I did totally just totally pilfered, plundered your daughter's bucket
with permission, which I believe you probably are the first person to, or maybe you did before, but nobody came in our neighborhood.
What?
We don't get trick or treaters.
Nobody. What, your whole you obviously trick or treated around your cul-de-sac.
We did not.
You did not.
We have
even
learned
hit
not
your
to. No, we learned a long time ago that. So we moved here from London, and we're very excited to be back in America in the suburbs. As you say,
Wait, sorry. Did you say from London?
Yeah.
Oh, how did I not know you when you were in London?
I don't know, because we definitely were kind of moving in somewhat of the same circle.
must
I
have
knew
been.
him in London.
Wait, okay. And so we're pointing off screen to
Yes.
someone who's not on mic, but is very much instrumental in bringing us together, which is
Yeah.
Paul Gannon, who is my podcast producer and your
friend and a collaborator in some part. So, but I do feel
You
okay.
can
Look,
dance around my association with the both of you all your life.
now we've done exactly
he slept
the thing.
with us both. No, he hasn't. He has.
We did exactly the thing I didn't want to do, which is introduce the white guy first. So let's introduce the show and then
Okay.
introduce you. And we're not going to
Okay.
talk about Paul Gannon
At all.
anymore.
No.
He is irrelevant.
He doesn't
to
exist.
the show. We might record another
He's
episode with him
incidental.
later. That's right.
God,
Irrelevant.
isn't it fun to
Yeah.
yell at him? Strangers
Yeah.
love yelling at him.
Yeah, he's got some good stories about that. But this is Late Night with Brian Wecht. My name is Brian Wecht. We are live in person. We don't normally do this in person. Normally we're remote.
No, in person's
Yeah,
great.
in person is great,
I think
especially with a
chemistry
new friend.
and everything. And the candy.
And actually sitting across from me in real life now is Leighton Gray.
Wow, it's me. I'm not used to doing it in person after 4 years of this podcast.
It's a little weird.
It is a little weird, but that's me. It's, welcome to our little weird show. Would
Thank
you like to
you.
introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Lina. I'm from London, UK, where you clearly used to live,
Yep.
and I'm a stand-up comedian and actress and presenter over there.
Yeah, great. And we were saying, now we will just mention the connection. My friend and yours,
Yes.
Paul Gannon.
Yes.
Past
Who's not
guest-
here.
Is not here as far
Not
as we're
here,
concerned.
no.
But a past guest on the show.
I mean, he's still
3
alive,
times?
just to be clear. It's not like he wasn't,
I'm not looking at him, but I'm going to presume he's still alive.
No, he's very
Okay,
much still
great.
alive,
You're
just to be
looking-
clear to the listeners.
Yeah, he seems fine. Now I'm looking at
He's
him.
dying to.
He's so
dying
desperate.
to
We
chip
gave
in.
him, by the way, we gave him the opportunity to be on this recording, and he said no.
I brought an
because
extra mic.
But he said if he were here, and I really don't want to be talking about him, so why am I doing it? But he said if he were here, he would just be talking the entire time. And
Okay.
we've talked to Paul a lot. We want to talk to you.
All right. Well,
So,
I can
yeah.
deal with that.
But Paul, I do want to thank Paul for introducing us and setting this whole thing up. And this is the last mention. We should have a Paul Gannon jar. And every time someone mentions Paul Gannon, we put some money in the jar. Right. And then I get the money at the end.
You get the money. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it should be a forfeit. I think we should all
that's
have
great.
to drink or something.
And that is a good idea.
But we all
actually.
have to drink your bad root
Yeah,
beer.
my bad root beer. I mean, we're already foreshadowing the show, but I have brought my lemon,
Your iffy
my
root-
lemon to the show.
That's right. That happens
Probably
towards
has
the
lemon
end.
in it, the way it tastes.
Now, we could be, everything, as they call the UK down under, everything's topsy-turvy over there. So we could do the show in reverse, where we do segments first.
That's an idea. It's a bad idea.
Okay, great.
Okay.
We're not going to do it then.
I'm not going to do it that way. We are actually technically in the same hemisphere, so it's really
Yes, that's true.
the Australians that do it upside down.
Oh, well. They
Yeah.
claim to be red
real,
side up.
real
Yeah.
egg on your face, Brian. First of all, I want to ask
What can I
you
say?
about.
My favorite thing is when Leighton is brutally dismissive towards me. It happens very frequently, and it brings me true joy. You know what my favorite thing you say to me, and then I'll let you say whatever it is. When you go, "So true, King." So Leighton's "So true, King" is as a way, which I know what she means. She means, "Shut up, Brian."
Right.
Which-
I'm looking. I hope to get at least one So True King in this
yeah,
episode.
you
It's
may.
a love language. We'll see. But
Yeah.
first of
We'll
all,
see.
I want to ask about your beautiful hair.
Oh, thank you.
As somebody with previously multicolored hair, but never to that extent, how's the upkeep? Like, it's beautiful.
Thank you. So yeah, this it takes, as you will appreciate, Brian. Maybe you not so much.
Not so much.
This will take hours in the chair, and then very few hours in the shower. I think that's the balance. It is, but I think it's worth it. I
And
really do love it.
It
It's
looks
become.
professionally done. That is a
Oh, very
pro-
much so.
yeah.
No, you can. If you could do this to yourself, then you shouldn't be in comedy. You should be, you should have a YouTube channel or something.
Right.
I mean, you should if you're in comedy as well. But
Yeah.
but no, I have a very special friend. Her name's Natalie. She's the London Jungle, and she does my hair. And what I do is I randomly text her last minute and go, "I have 3 days between New York and LA. Can you do my hair?" And then
And
she
then she goes
finds
for it.
like 3 hours and fits me in. So it's been a long journey. I brought her a photo and I said, "I want my hair to look like this." She went, "Yeah, that's been generated by AI. That's not possible. Can't have that hair." And then over time, we've been working through different dyes and placements. The truth is, when you put blues, greens, purples in your hair, it all washes out to blue, and it just stains the hair blue. So the biggest problem we had was I'd start with rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then over a period of time, all the hair would end up blue. We'd have to figure out how we're going to get the reds and the oranges back, because if you put red on blue, you get purple. So you end up with like mermaid hair. So it's been a journey.
Now, do you have naturally dark hair? Is that right?
No, rainbow. It comes out like
Okay.
this. Yeah. Right?
Do you have to bleach it?
I
is
love,
the
you know
question
what?
I'm
You
going for.
you are such a white man to look at an Asian and go,
Well,
so you
I
have
don't wanna-
naturally dark hair.
I
love that. I love how safe you don't want to presume. No, yeah. No,
just
fair
guessing
enough.
with some people, who knows?
Actually, I'm the
Lots of
only
stuff can
ginger
happen. Right,
Asian.
okay, fair enough. Yes, look, I've called out correctly on this. What
Yes,
I'm
I do.
asking is, do you have
I
to
do.
bleach your hair? to
Yeah,
dye
we do.
it?
Yeah,
Okay,
we do have
great.
to bleach it, and that. So when we do a full bleach and then a redo, that's a 12-hour day.
Oh my God, 12 hours.
12 hours in the chair, which
Wow.
she goes without really eating. Because I'll just sit there and I'll be like, I'm ordering a McDonald's, which she, bless her, because
So
she's
much
vegan.
work.
She's vegan and all of her products are vegan. She has this great, and I 110% support everything she wants her business to be. And then I sit in the chair and go, I love the great things you're doing. Like all her foils are recycled. Like she's really, really sustainable. And then I bring in a Whopper and I'm like, I'm going to eat beef in your shop.
Yeah.
And she's so good. She's like, no, that's fine. I'm like,
Did you guys have Whoppers in the UK? Is that
we
a
have
UK
Burger
thing?
King.
Oh, I forgot
Isn't
that.
Burger King British? I
I
always
didn't
thought
think so.
I thought Burger King
Is
was
it
British
just-
and McDonald's was American. That was always how I thought. You know,
think they're both
like the
American,
mom
but I
and
could be
dad of
wrong.
fast food.
The implied monarchy of the Burger King. I don't know.
I do know
always
there's.
thought it was.
It may well be. I do know the thing in Australia. You know what they call Burger King in Australia?
No.
This is not a joke. Although
Oh,
it
it's
sounds like it
something
is.
else, isn't it?
Hungry Jack's.
Hungry
Oh,
Jack's.
yeah.
There was
That's
something about
yes.
the trademark, like they forgot to trademark it in Australia, and some random guy just bought the trademark Burger King
Burger
before the
King,
restaurant
and they
could.
couldn't, so they have to be Hungry
was like,
Jack's.
I'm hungry.
Yeah,
And my name is Jack.
that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so Hungry Jack's is Burger King.
That is what my Australian friends tell me.
It's sort of like Rally's Checkers here and Hardee's
Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr.
Right.
It's so I feel so wrong when I see a Carl's Jr.
I'll be honest, you just said about 6 or 7 words that meant nothing to me.
Rallies and checkers are the same thing?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Where are they different? Like, are you saying
It's like
north or south of the Canadian border? What are we talking?
It's like East Coast, West Coast. East Coast,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure is checkers and for sure Hardee's. And then here it's Rallies and Carl's Jr., which both feel wrong to me, but no need to worry because they both suck.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that's
and
fine.
there's the great mayonnaise divide, of course. Also,
What
which
is your mayonnaise? We have
well,
a mayonnaise divide, but tell me yours.
Ours is the mayo that I grew up with in New Jersey on the East Coast is called Hellman's,
Yes.
which on the label says called Best Foods West of the Rockies. And sure enough, out here in California, it is called Best Foods Mayonnaise. It is exactly the same. It just has a different name.
Seriously.
Yeah, well, I assume some trademark or who the fuck knows why. But, yeah.
Some of the candies just came up again. Apologies to the listeners. But there was some nerd action going on there.
I mean, it was at least,
wait.
it was that and not the root beer.
Not yet. Oh, that's coming
That's
though.
coming
I bet
up.
that's coming. So, okay, hang on. That's blowing my mind because I did live in California. I lived in Palo Alto when I was at like Montessori school.
Okay.
And I swear to goodness, we had Hellman's at home because when we moved back to the UK, we had Hellman's and that was always our mayonnaise. But in the UK, Heinz do mayonnaise.
Right. Yes, that's right. Here they don't.
No, thank goodness. They
Yes.
shouldn't. Honestly, stick with what you're good at, which
Hellman's
is
is-
beans and ketchup.
Hellman's is good mayonnaise. I like that.
Hellman's is okay, but let's be honest again, because if you then go to Europe, which is the birthplace of mayonnaise,
Sure. Yes.
Hellman's is not mayonnaise. Hellman's is
No.
just a white gloopy sauce
right.
that is really rather addictive
Right.
and bad for you. And I realized late into adulthood that I don't like mayonnaise. I like Hellman's because I detest Heinz's white concoction. My sister's never liked any of them at all. She always called it. Are we swearing or not swearing on
Yeah,
the
she
show?
can
Are we-
swear.
oh,
We
okay.
swear a lot.
She always called mayonnaise the devil's cum. She absolutely hates it, and
Makes
I
me so happy in so many ways.
yeah, and I never agreed with her until I realized I just liked Hellman's.
Well, can
specifically
I tell you why this makes me happy? Is I some of my comedy is mayonnaise focused.
Okay,
And, yeah,
it's part of your brand.
Yeah,
okay.
you could say in a sense. I have a recurring game show that I host called Is It Mayo? And the previously mentioned person who I will not mention, who is sitting in this room with us, has played this game. And it's a very simple game. Now, we're not going to play it now because
Wait
it's
a minute.
awful.
Are you saying that I could have had French fries at this recording and now I'm
No.
not getting any?
Oh, there are no
Mario.
French
there's no
fries in
French
the
fries.
equation.
No French fries. Okay.
The way Is It Mayo works is I blindfold a person or people, and then I feed them a variety of substances.
Okay.
And after each substance, they have to answer one yes or no question. Layton, what's that question?
Is it mayo?
Right.
And I'll give you a little hint. It's always mayo.
It's always mayo. But sometimes
Okay,
it's a
but let's be
lot of
clear.
mayo.
You've never fed someone salad cream and
I
called
would
it mayo.
never. No,
Okay.
no,
because
that's-
that again is a completely different. I don't think you've never come across salad cream.
You
have
probably
you?
don't know what that
You'll
is.
know
No.
it from having lived in the
Correct.
UK. So we've got Hellman's mayonnaise, which you can picture, Best Foods mayonnaise, right? And it's a very tasty, addictive white concoction. Then you've got Heinz's version, which is for some reason even whiter, despite supposedly
It's
having been
yeah.
made with egg yolk.
as if it couldn't be whiter.
It
They
could
found
not
a
be
way.
whiter. And it's just not quite right.
No, it's terrible.
It's awful. I don't know what they do. It's just not right. But it's definitely cheaper because if you go to like a Weatherspoons, they will have Heinz mayo instead of Hellman's is like
Do you know what
the
a Weatherspoons
expensive
is?
stuff. Okay, a
it's
Weatherspoons
bad
is like
pub company.
it's a
basically.
if Denny's did alcohol,
That's it.
that's
Okay.
a Weatherspoons.
Imagine
All right.
the worst, most stupid corporate pub possible.
Ooh.
That's a Weatherspoons.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, where everything is cheap as chips. So, you know, like all the old men with alcohol issues will be in there from opening hours at 10, 11. And you know, their menu is huge. It's almost too big.
Yeah, it is definitely too.
It's
big.
too
Yeah.
big a menu.
And
And
it's
you go,
all
there's
bad.
no way that all of this is fresh.
Yeah,
You know,
that's right.
And Thursdays are curry night and that kind of thing.
And they have the thing where they have like this very uniform fake chalk writing on their signage.
Yes.
You know,
it's all the
which-
same.
it's all the
the
same.
marketing's the same. And the
But
guy
it's designed to look
who-
handwritten, but it's not.
the guy who owns it or runs it, I don't know if he's CEO or the owner, but he's very pro-Brexit. So when Brexit happened, he went, that's it. We're not going to have any more foreign drink, no more French wines and Italian this, that, and the other.
Everyone's like, too many French wines. Get rid of them.
So now if you want a champagne at Weatherspoons, who goes there for champagne? I have no idea. But if you want a sparkling beverage to celebrate, then it will be English sparkling wine.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Is that as dire as it sounds?
Probably. I
Yeah.
don't drink, so luckily I'm safe from all of it. But the funniest thing I find about a Weatherspoons is the fact that they specifically don't put plugs regularly throughout. They're huge. They get these huge establishments,
Yeah,
so you can
enormous.
fit hundreds of people in
And
there.
they buy up like old mom and pops too and
Yeah.
take them over. It's
Zoinks.
bad.
But what they'll do when they refurb them is they won't put plugs everywhere so that they don't get people coming in there and like sitting there all day on their laptops.
Yeah.
But the irony is that the people who come in at 10 in the morning don't have laptops. They're just there to drink.
Yeah.
And they will stay there all day, but they'll nurse one pint and one cup of
right.
coffee.
Yeah.
So I'm going,
So they'll
you
spend
might
10
as well have
pounds
the
out for
laptops
6
in because
hours.
they'll
Yeah.
at least eat lunch while they're there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
But I want to get back to the mayo.
oh, the mayo. So that's
the
that.
white sauce
but then
discussion
there's
here.
salad cream.
Right.
Now, salad cream, I think, is a northern thing, and by northern, there's a north-south divide in the UK, which I know sounds crazy because honestly, it's so small. It's like here, there, Scotland, but we still manage to subdivide, and it's something that they use instead of mayonnaise. In fact, I think it probably predated mayonnaise in the UK. Probably the Vikings were there going salad cream. I don't know. It's just, it's got more vinegar in it, and it's
That's exactly
slightly
what
more
it is.
fluid.
Yes.
Oh,
And
no.
it's
It's
like,
awful.
it reminds me of, we have a bunch of friends who are Halifax folks, East Coast Canadians.
Okay.
And they have an unholy thing called doner. Now, it's not doner kebab, but it is related to doner kebab, and it is spelled Donair. Doner.
Okay.
And doner has a specific vinegary white sauce. It's like condensed milk and vinegar that goes on it. And it's simultaneously very wet, but very viscous, but very runny. And it's tangy, but also sweet.
I mean, it sounds like salad cream. I'll be honest.
It is very similar to
The
salad
sweet
cream, yeah.
part is what's most off-putting about it.
Yes. Well, the other thing you can do with it, we had one of these folks here once. This guy raves about doner, talked about it forever. You know what you do? You order pizza sticks and you dip it in the doner sauce. And that's like the
I'm
ultimate
sorry. Can we just
Halifax-
pause on pizza stick? Because
Sure.
my brain is already short-circuiting on a pizza stick.
So what it is none other than you take a pizza and you carve it into straight lines.
Oh, okay.
It's like garlic bread, but
okay.
pizza, kind of.
But in straight lines.
Yeah. So it's like
Why not cook it as a rectangle in the first place?
That's a very good question that I can't answer.
Okay.
So,
All right.
But you take these pizza sticks and you dip it in the doner sauce.
Okay.
And he was at our house. He managed to have a bottle of this doner sauce. And so we ordered a pizza from Domino's because the worse the pizza, the better the experience. It's supposed to be, garbage food. And our entire
Domino's already comes with its own. I mean, pizza, I will eat Domino's because of their garlic and herb dip.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
I mean, that is
So
right.
this is the same sort of thing. It's
Domino's actually has a soft spot in my heart
Mm-hmm.
because of that garlic and herb dip, and now the hot cookies,
I haven't had
the hot
cookies.
dessert cookies.
The cookie brownie.
Just anything, any of their hot desserts, I'm there.
I have not had the desserts.
Oh, the
Sounds like
lava
we need to order.
cakes.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
there's
mean, I
plenty
do
of
feel like
Domino's
we're
around
ordering.
here.
I do feel like we have to.
I think we should. My 10-year-old loves Domino's.
I agree.
Anyway, just to finish this
Yeah.
thought, we had to pretend to enjoy pizza and doner sauce as this very dear friend was like, huh? Isn't it the best? Don't you love it?
That
'Cause
was
he'd been
such a
talking
good
about it
Canadian
for you.
accent.
Thank you.
So can I
Much.
just
don't know.
say
I can
that
do-
was
yeah.
beautiful,
Thank you.
and you didn't even have to do an A.
I know.
Right.
Yeah. I did learn. I
great,
learned
eh?
the trick to a Canadian accent, of course there are many Canadian accents, is they don't say a boot.
No.
They say a boat. So it's more like you're saying a boat rather than a boot. Right?
But they do say a boot in certain parts of Minnesota, actually.
Well, my wife is a Minnesotan.
Is she?
And yes. And she does. Her mom has that sort of accent.
They kind of
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Don't you? You
Okay.
betcha.
I think
Welcome about.
we've gone down like I know this show is almost exclusively tangents, but I feel like we've...
Well, actually, we have 2 more stops on our mayonnaise tour.
Oh.
We've got free sauce.
Yeah, Paul knew we would get along. I didn't know we would get along this well because I rarely get to talk mayo on this show. And I am genuinely thrilled that we're going in deep on mayo.
You rarely get to talk about mayo
Almost,
on
I
this
would
show.
say, okay. you're right.
Rarely?
I never get to talk about mayo on this show. I get to do terrible things to
Y'all
people
know.
with mayo. No, don't point at the camera.
I can point at the camera as much as I want.
The court of public opinion will definitely have my back on this.
The court of public opinions
got
got on my side.
I don't get to talk about mayo
side.
enough on this show. Surely we can agree on that.
No.
Okay.
I feel like once we finish our mayo chat, then we just ask you, Leighton, what is your, deep, what do you feel deeply about in the world of cuisine? And then we'll go deep on that.
Well, yeah. Well, let's finish.
But we're
your
not done
frite
with the
sauce.
spectrum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 2 more stops on this. We've got frite sauce. Now in Benelux, right? So I grew up in Holland ultimately. I've lived in a number of places, but we ended up in Holland. Now they have the cuisine of the Netherlands can best be described as anything beige.
Yep.
If it's beige,
right.
It's in, right? They're not great with food, but one of the things that they did inherit from the South, because of course the French fry was actually invented by the Belgians.
Sure. Yep.
But in the French-speaking part, so the Americans were like, "Oh, we're in France." It's like, no. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the French fry, obviously, we can all agree, is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Sure.
But in that part, in that region of Europe, is something called frite sauce, and frite sauce is way sweeter than mayonnaise. So it's mayonnaise, but with extra sugar.
I've ever
in it.
had it.
Oh,
Yeah. And
Well-
I love mayo on a fry.
oh,
I think it's
this is
better than ketchup.
Honestly, this is so what I do whenever I go back home to the Netherlands, I have something called a frite special. Frite meaning French fry, right? I have a frite special,
Watch
and what a
hitting the
frite
table,
special.
I would say, because of the...
Oh yeah, sorry. Frite special is our frite sauce, which looks like mayonnaise, but is thick and sweet. It's got it's unctuous. I think unctuous would
Unctuous is
apply.
perfect
Then
word.
we have what's called curry ketchup. So you imagine
That
your normal
I've had.
ketchup,
That I like.
but this has got curry in it, and
Kind
you
of like a
can't.
curryverse sort of...
It's a
thing,
curryverse
right?
kind
Yeah.
of sauce
Yeah.
in the same area, but you can't just add curry powder to ketchup and make it. It has to kind of be cooked
right.
into it.
Yes.
Right? So you have your curry ketchup. So imagine those two together. So you got this sweet mayonnaise. You've got this sweet but piquant curry ketchup. And then you top that off with finely chopped white onion.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that, you get a little bit of all 3 of those on your French fry. And that is the most beautiful thing in the world. And
That
that is your
sounds
frite sauce. It's still
amazing.
in the umbrella of mayonnaise. And you can just do frites and frite sauce. You don't have to have all the rest of it. You can just have, if you just want mayonnaise with your French fries, or we say chips.
Sure.
Then that's what you do. But then of course, our final stop on our mayonnaise tour is Kewpie mayonnaise.
Well,
From
which,
Japan.
that's our go-to here. So
It's very similar. So you could use
I like
Kewpie
it a
instead of
lot.
frite sauce if you want to try the
Yeah.
frite special.
the first time I went to Holland and saw a chip truck with all the sauce options,
Oh, yes.
my mind was blown because there's like 20 sauce
Yeah.
options. I had no idea you could have so much. And this is before I was enlightened and realized that mayo and mayo type things are better with chips than ketchup. I mean, I don't think that's a personal preference. I think it's a fact.
That's
I
a
agree.
cultural. It's
Yeah.
a cultural divide. The
Yeah.
Europeans eat mayonnaise with their frites,
Right. Here,
not ketchup.
It's weird. You're at a kind of fancy place if you get mayo. with
Yes,
your
true. Or
friends.
like a French place.
That's right.
What are
Yeah.
these other? You say there's an array of sauces at a chip truck. What are the
Well,
other options?
What else is there? There's. I'm trying to remember them all. Definitely the curry ones were new to me, but there were a couple curry or curry adjacent
So you can get a curry
options,
sauce,
right?
which would almost be like it is a curry sauce that you might put meat into and make a basic curry in the kitchen. So you've got your normal ketchup, you've got your curry ketchup, which is like what you maybe get on a curryverse, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got your curry sauce, which is more yellow. You can get mayonnaise and frite sauce. I
Yep.
think you can distinguish between those two, but why get mayonnaise when they have frite sauce? Honestly, you've got your onions, which can go on there. when I first moved to Holland, McDonald's would, if you asked for mayonnaise, if you asked for frites sauce, they'd give you this little pack, but when you opened it, it had herbs in it. And I was like, what is this? It was like mayonnaise with herbs in it. I don't think I've seen that in years, but I don't know, again, if maybe it was they were trying to get around somebody's copyright.
Yeah.
There's that. And then the other, you can also
Use
get...
the wrong term and Grimace comes after you.
And then you can get a peanut sauce. So there's a peanut satay sauce.
Oh, yes.
Which,
yes.
if you put that with mayonnaise and onions,
that shit's
is
good.
called friet oorlog, which means chip war. So you can have a chip special.
In Dutch.
Yeah, in Dutch. So you have a friet special, which means chip special, French fry special, which is with the curry and the onions, or you can get friet oorlog, which means chip war with the peanut sauce.
That sounds great.
I'm so happy we're talking about this. I genuinely am.
So we're going to order after the Domino's. Now we're also going to order some
and
chips,
get all the. I wonder if there's like a Dutch restaurant
maybe a
around
European.
here.
They
Probably
would. I don't know
not.
if they'd import it though.
I've never seen a
because
Dutch restaurant in the U.S.
Everything that we're talking about are the snacks
Yeah,
that you get. Like
right.
when I go back, I specifically go to a vendor called Schmuller's, and they're in every station. So I don't go to like a chip truck in town.
Yeah.
I go to a train station because I know that I will get exactly what I want from this particular vendor. So it's not
That's
it's
smart,
not restaurant food.
think the
Restaurant
one-
food in Holland is different.
I just went to some truck in like Dam Square or something like that.
Exactly.
I
And
forget
just
exactly where.
get that.
Yeah.
And then next door is probably the fish truck that gave you the raw herring.
I love the raw herring. The Stube. Is that the big one? Stube herring?
Well,
in
I mean,
Amsterdam?
just
There's a
the
bunch,
herring where you get it
The raw with the onions and the pickles
with
and
the
everything. It's
onion
fucking
and
awesome.
on a hot dog bun
Yes,
randomly.
that's the one. It's
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, you get the sense that they sell it year round, but they shouldn't. I do. There's so many things I want to talk to you about. I want to go back to this thing we started talking about before, which is how did we not know each other in London?
Yes.
Because I was there for 3 years. Well, I think I can answer the question. I had a child when I was there, and was not getting out too much. So our daughter was born.
A brand new
there.
child.
A brand new child. Yes.
Brand new child.
Yeah, that's right. Not an old one. Yeah, she's older now, but she was brand new
You
back
keep
then.
pointing at Leighton, but you don't
She's
mean to,
she.
right?
Well, I'm pointing at the house.
Yeah.
Oh, at the house.
where my
Okay.
child
I was getting very
generally
confused because
lives. No.
I knew we established that you were not said child. And then you
Yeah.
kept looking at it. I was
Yeah.
like, were you a
No,
child he made earlier? No. We
Lena's
established that
actually-
wasn't also the
She's-
case. So
from a
I
You're
was
previous
definitely
very
marriage.
young
confused.
enough to. Let's see. Is this true? Yeah, you could be my daughter. Technically, I'm 49. You're 27.
Yeah, that's
that's
fucked up.
theoretically possible.
It is.
I thought Paul was doing this.
He is uncomfortable at the
Yeah.
thought. He is a little bit.
Yeah.
Only because he just found out how old Leighton is and he might not be able to be in the room anymore.
Yeah.
Please let me partake in the conversation.
You don't get to talk. Stop talking. We already said no.
Sorry. Love you, Paul.
But so when I was in London, I was here I would use the term professor. There, I would say lecturer at Queen Mary.
Oh.
Yeah. So we
What
have
did you lecture in?
theoretical physics. I'm a string theorist and quantum field theorist.
Oh, my
and I know you were a
goodness.
PhD as well.
I am a PhD.
In virology, is that
in
right?
virology,
Yeah.
bioinformatics. Yes.
So I do want to talk about this because so
Okay.
I did the full, very, very briefly, I did the full like grad school, postdoc, faculty thing. Got a
Here,
job
and-
here.
and
Yeah.
then
So
moved
I
there.
went to, for grad school, I went to UC San Diego. And then I was a postdoc. Let's see, can I do these in order? MIT, Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, the University of Michigan, and then Harvard. And then I got a job in London in Queen Mary, and I moved there as a faculty member.
Any of these theoretical physics becoming practical? Just Evan, just
Not-
asking for the common person.
Not what I did. I mean, but yeah, theoretical physics, sure, all the time. Not in my field so much, which was particle physics, but theoretical.
You would think a lot of
condensed
particle
matter.
physics would be like you're just theorizing about particles and
What
never
you're-
really convinced.
Sort of. Well, what you're doing is, traditionally it was like trying to either explain results or predict new ones. But what has happened in theoretical particle physics typically now is the types of experiments you talk about are many, many years away, if ever. And so when you're making predictions, they're in principle checkable, but in practice not. You know what I mean? Although that is not totally true, for things like dark matter, which we may see,
Isn't
who
that
knows? But
incredible though?
yeah.
So for years he did a job where he would just think up things
math.
that
I just did math.
but you were just going, hey, in theory this is possible, and people go, can you do it now? Can you prove it now? No. Okay, here's your paycheck. See you tomorrow. Like what?
I mean, pretty much.
That's do you know what that is probably the greatest what am I trying to say? I'm so jet lagged. The greatest like switcheroo that anyone's ever pulled over the wool of the eyes of the people.
Well, we have to
Do you
check
know
if
what I
it was
mean?
right, you know, like
Yeah, but you can't check if it's right for years
you
in
can check
the
if
future.
the math is consistent, right? So there's some things that are just like pure math. What I did is closer to pure math than
Yeah, but I can
theoretical
give you
physics.
I can give you a basic equation with no brackets in it, and you can honestly come back with two different answers, and you know.
Yeah, but then the equation was kind of
It was
incomplete.
poorly written,
Yeah, right,
but
exactly.
yeah, because it's got no brackets in it, and
Right.
you know.
Well, I can
But
assure-
what
I
I'm
put-
just saying is that an equation with no brackets.
You would
has
not
no-
believe the brackets I put in my papers. All sorts of brackets. They were everywhere. You knew exactly what I fucking meant every time I wrote it down.
But there was no way to actually prove that you were right.
But that's my... Well, it depends what you mean by right? Do you mean existing in the physical universe? Yes, I agree. Do you mean an interesting theory, which is maybe mathematically worth checking out? Yeah, that's a different kind of right.
God, I love physics mode, Brian.
I hear that, but I've always
But
felt
it's
that
very
way
different
about
than what you
physics.
did. I
My
wanna hear
mom's
what-
a physicist, so already like
Okay.
I've got a chip
She
on my
sounds
shoulder.
cool.
My
Yeah.
mom was a physicist,
kind of
so of
physicist?
course as a rebel teenager, because I
Yeah.
finished. Oh, what kind of physicist? That is a good question. I don't know because she moved into computer programming,
I see.
so I don't actually know what she did in physics.
But
I
she
never
wasn't
asked her.
a like research physicist. She just had a background in physics?
Yeah,
or
she did a
was
background in
research- okay.
physics, and then very quickly went computers of the future and
Yeah, that
moved
was
into
smart.
those and was like,
You'll
right in
notice
there.
I don't do physics anymore. So
Yeah,
now I
well-
do this.
You do this.
Yeah, well, now I'm a musician, podcaster.
Oh my God, you and Brian
Model.
Cox, right?
I just did a podcast with him about 3 days ago. Yeah.
Oh, you should have said I just did Infinite Monkey Cage with him a couple weeks ago.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I met Robin
degrees.
at a thing a few years back.
Yeah, no, Brian
Yeah.
it was so sweet because Robin
I wish I had known
is-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have mentioned it,
Yeah.
but Robin is sort of anarchic and comedy and smart as
Yeah.
anything, and Infinite Monkey Cage is a little bit anarchic anyway. And then
Yeah.
Brian just sort of sits there so quietly and so in control of himself, and he looks at the producer. The producer's in the front row tearing her hair out because we're all just talking
Yeah.
tangentially as well. And then in a lull, Brian will just turn to me and go, "So, do you think that extinction of viruses is possible? Could we bring them back from the dead?" And I'm just
Yeah.
in the middle of nothing. And I'm like, "Oh, right. Yes, science hat. Back on.
Well,
I'm so sorry."
This is something
He's
I
such a sweet man.
really loved about the UK is, so I moved there in 2012, and I'd been doing comedy and storytelling and blah, 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 but I was there mainly to be a faculty member. But one thing I thought was interesting was that science and comedy had much more of an overlap there than they do here. So I met a guy right away and, stayed in touch with, you might know Matt Parker.
Mathematician.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Number 5.
Festival of the Spoken
Spoken
Nerd.
with Helen and, oh my
Steve.
God, Steve. Yes. Thank you.
Steve Mold and I go way back.
So Matt actually just came to one of my shows out here a few months back. We've stayed in
nice.
touch, and he's super, super great guy. But I was like, oh my God, there are his whole thing is stand-up maths,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I was so impressed that in the UK, this whole science comedy thing was a thing in the way it is a little bit more here, but not quite.
We have a class system in the UK. So you've got your upper classes, your landed gentry, all the way down to your working classes. But we have a separate class system, which is purely on how brainy and how nerdy are you.
That's right.
Which we have an entire radio channel called Radio 4 that's always listened to by those that
It was
consider
the fourth one
themselves
they discovered.
Yes, they discovered Radio
thank you
4,
for
and on it were tons of facts.
Yeah.
and all the nerds listen to it. And there's they have the Brain of Britain quiz competition on there.
It's like NPR kind of.
Gotcha.
It's like what?
NPR kind
Okay,
of here.
right? Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Wait. Is it HBO has your smarter stuff over here? Am I right?
No,
what am
HBO
I
has something
thinking?
called Euphoria.
Okay. What am I thinking? I thought there was some channel out here that used to be PBS.
PBS, I guess, is
PBS,
closer to
PBS,
that.
where it just does state funded
Masterpiece Theater and
Sesame
the sort of-
Street.
Yeah.
and, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Although
smart
they did
stuff.
move Sesame Street to HBO, I think. Didn't they?
I mean, when they have Elmo starting to take out to do hits on people,
But
it's a little
but
different
class
now.
system on Radio 4 is nerdy.
Well, the class system in the UK is such that we also have this range of people from the very bottom of the UK where they revel in their stupidity. So it's kind of like, no, I don't know maths, hate maths, can't do maths, don't do math, no, I'm never good at maths.
We don't have
you've got
that over here.
where people are proud of it. Very much it's an identity. Oh, I can do maths. Yeah, no, I hate maths.
Yeah.
All the way up to, like quizzing and just, I was part of a group. I used to run a pub quiz, and then one of my teams during the pandemic set up their own Zoom quiz thing that they would do. And I mean, I was there as the quiz master going, I can't do this. This is hard. Yeah. And there were people getting answers that I'm going, why do you know that? Do you know when people answer a question in a quiz, what you don't call it a quiz here, you call it trivia nights.
Yes.
When somebody answers something, you go, why do you know that? Why is that taking up space in your brain?
I was always impressed. Is it University Challenge? Is that the show?
Yeah, that's incredibly
like, how
difficult.
the fuck do those people know that stuff?
Yeah,
and
I know.
They're like 20, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. These children who have more facts immediately coming out of their brain than I ever will.
That tends to be what happens. So here's the other unfair thing about University Challenge. Every university is allowed to submit one team. Every college is allowed to submit one team.
College means something different than university, right?
What is the difference?
Okay. Well, okay. No, there's a few different rules.
Oh, boy.
So we, up until recently, finished school at 16.
It's very similar to the mayonnaise spectrum.
Kind of. We used to finish school at 16. Now it's 18. You have to be from 16 to 18 in some form of education, but it could be an apprenticeship. It could be, you go to trade school. It could be something. But you don't have to stay in formal academic high school the way you do here. So at 16, people would leave. And if you stayed in academic education, but you didn't stay at your school, you would go to what's called a college. So college tends to mean 16 to 18 education.
Yes.
However, at the university level, some universities have multiple colleges within them
Like
that
Oxford
are
and
18
Cambridge.
plus. So Oxford, Cambridge, the University of London have multiple colleges, and this is nothing to do with the 16 to 18 college. It's called a college, so Oxford will have multiple colleges. And University
they each have their own
Challenge-
vibe.
They have their
sort
own
of
vibe and their own identity.
traditions
Within
and-
London, each college is actually the size of a university. So University of London will have UCL and King's and Imperial, but they're actually the size of Southampton Uni or Bath Uni. Like they are as big as. But it's kind of unfair. So whereas it's okay for UCL and Imperial and King's to each have their own team because they're pretty much independent universities under this old umbrella of the University of London, at Oxford, it's one university, but with 20 colleges. So that means they get to put 20 teams into University Challenge.
Yeah.
I see.
And so it just
crazy.
Bath is having to compete with 20 Oxford colleges, 20 Cambridge colleges, 4 or 5 Uni of London colleges.
But University of London as an entity is not really a thing in the sense that anybody thinks of, right?
It's not the same as Oxford
you don't
or
say,
Cambridge.
I went to the University of London.
No, you say I went to UCL.
Like Queen Mary, where I was. Queen Mary was University of London. It used to be something else and then got subsumed. But we would call QMUL is what the acronym we would use, but really it was Queen Mary.
You didn't go with Camol?
Some people would say Queen Mary in Westfield, which I guess it used to be.
Queen Mary, Westfield. Were
Right?
you in
Wasn't it
West or
Westfield?
East London?
East by Mile End.
Westfield. No,
I
that's
thought
the
it
name
was
of
called Queen Mary. I know it's the mall.
Westfield is the mall.
Was it something else? I thought it was Queen Mary in Westfield. I could be wrong.
Metropolitan. No, that's a different
But
unit.
it changed. It used to be QMW.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
then it was QMUL. I thought the W was Westfield, but I might be conflating it.
Oh, I don't know.
But yeah, the university, here we have something called Quiz Bowl.
Quiz Bowl.
Quiz Bowl, which is a thing I think you do in maybe high school, definitely. It's Quiz Bowl and then it's College Bowl. That's what it is. And Quiz Bowl is like University Challenge, but it's for, I think, high school students. And then College Bowl is for
College students.
college students.
Right.
Yeah, which here means university.
But is
I
it,
did
is it
that.
as hard as ours?
No, it's much easier.
Of course it is.
It is much, much easier.
But don't you have that show here, which I think, again, is a very American creation? Are
Wheel
you
of
smarter
Fortune.
than a 10-year-old?
Oh,
Are you smarter
Isn't
than
that
a
a
fifth
British-
grader?
fifth grader, yeah, which is
Oh,
the
are you
same
smarter
thing,
than
yeah.
a fifth grader?
Yeah.
That's it. Which then we made is, are you smarter than a 10-year-old?
Right.
But are you
Well,
smarter? But it's scary how many people lost.
It's interesting that I now
On that show.
have a 10-year-old who thinks I'm a fucking idiot. Right? So, of course, if you ask my daughter, I am definitely not
Dude,
smarter
you do
than a
theoretical
10-year-old.
math and then go, one day someone might prove it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Come
no,
on.
I know. It's
What's that
I'm
for?
not winning this argument. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're small, but at least I can point to a virus and go, there it is.
right.
Truth.
Well, okay. So I want to hear about your science
Okay.
and everything. So you did the full, I mean, you PhD, undergraduate, master PhD, like what was your...
I did my master's after my PhD.
Oh, you did?
So I
Okay,
went
got
straight
it.
from bachelor's to PhD and then did a master's because my master's
And
was a
you did
retrain.
that over in Europe? Or
All in
here?
the UK.
In UK. Got it.
Yes. So I did my undergrad at St. Andrews in Scotland,
Mm-hmm.
which was in experimental pathology. And then I did my PhD at UCL, which was in viral bioinformatics. And I specialized in herpes. Thank you very much. And then...
Me too, in a sense.
and flex. And then... and then I later retrained and did a master's in forensic science.
Got it. Okay.
And then
so
I
that was
went and
after.
worked in law enforcement in forensics for a while.
I see. And were you doing, you've probably been asked this a billion times, so we don't need to talk about it, comedy the whole time? Or was that a thing?
I did it. Yes, I sort of started it at uni a bit, and then it kind of went. Yeah, it worked in tandem. And I think that the reason I didn't end up staying in science longer was because at the end of the PhD, I had the choice of I was doing a postdoc, which I wasn't that enthralled by. In fact, I moved out of my office into someone else's, and I was like, oh, this is very different. When you do a PhD, you're working for yourself for 3-4 years, and it's wonderful. And I had a wonderful couple of supervisors. They were both great, but my main supervisor was wonderful, just letting me run with it. He's like, go and explore things. And I did a book chapter, and I got a couple papers out of it. Like, I did everything that you're supposed to do in a PhD, but I didn't realize until many years later that how lucky I was that he wasn't controlling my project as tightly.
The same thing. I had a lovely PhD supervisor, just the nicest guy, gave me a lot of freedom, but was always available when I needed him. Like we wrote a bunch of papers together, like could not have been a better PhD experience for sure.
Yeah, no, I really look back, and it was such a wonderful time, therefore, to work for yourself and to be able to just get on with your own work. And if, sometimes I come in at 11 and they'd be like, it's a bit late. People were here from 9, but I'm like, but I'm going to stay till 7 and then go to my gig at 8. So I'm still doing the full day.
For me, I had a collaborator in Santa Barbara, and I would be like, hey, Ken, can I go to Santa Barbara for 2 weeks? And he's like, yeah, cool.
Off you go.
And,
Yeah, that's
because
great.
it's theoretical physics. It doesn't matter where you do it. So I would go up to Santa Barbara, stay
Yeah,
with my
it's
friend's
still
futon for 2 weeks.
theoretical.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this go.
You don't have to.
Okay,
I
I
deserve
just
it.
can't. I can't. I just.
I love
Some
being
of us
called
did
out.
actual work, and we actually discovered real things
I have
that
30
actually
papers.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
In what?
theoretical
I
physics.
had a dream.
Some of it,
Some of it may come true
some
one
of it,
day.
now, one of my papers, I will admit that some of my papers involve so string theory posits that there are extra dimensions that beyond the 4 that we see. And essentially,
Like
I don't
Marvel?
know, for sure, essentially maybe
That
5 or
was
6
just so
of my
true,
papers are, yes, it was 5 or 6 of my papers were essentially, but what if not? And what if those dimensions weren't really shapes, but they were like something else?
They weren't really shapes.
No, so you might think,
That's where we're at. Shapes and colors.
well, so then
We give you money, and you've
what
come
if
back
the
with.
extra dimension? They're not any particular color. They can be any color you want. If you pay me enough money, I'll write a paper saying that dimension's whatever color you want.
Wow, we
But,
can talk. Okay,
yeah.
I could do with some pseudoscience to sell some pills
The
to
other
people.
dimensions are just orange. They're
I
just
do
orange.
like framing Brian as some sort of pseudoscientist. I
I
think that really
You know
works
what?
for him.
But this is the thing, actually, about string theory in particular, which was a big part of my work, is there are people out there who would call it pseudoscience. Those people are wrong, but there is a
Fight and talk.
significant portion of people. When I would tell people I do string theory,
Yeah.
some people's gut reaction would be like, "Oh, but that's bullshit." Right?
What's the basis? Like, explain to me in a nutshell. Okay, you are AI, and I am me, and
you.
I've said you will explain string theory to a 5th grader.
Okay,
Go.
it's actually pretty simple. Please don't make fun of me for this. Particle physics says, what if everything was particles? By a particle, I mean a 0-dimensional thing with no spatial extent. So when you think of an electron has mass and properties, but the claim is it's smaller than any given size. It's like an actual point particle. All right, it has no.
I'm sorry. So is the
extent.
electron a particle or not a particle?
The electron, as we think of it, is a particle.
Is a particle, but
Yeah.
you just said a no dimensional with no weight or mass is a particle.
No. So an electron has mass,
Yeah.
it has charge, it has spin, it has properties.
Right.
But if you say, how big is it? As far as we can tell, it has no extent. It is zero dimensional. It's just a point.
All right. So particle physics is based on the electron as the...
Electron is one of many
because
many
we can
particles.
subdivide a proton, we can subdivide a neutron. So what are we
Well,
doing?
but a proton and a neutron subdivide into quarks, which are also, we think, point particles.
And a delicious dairy treat.
Is it a quark is a dairy treat?
Quark. Yeah.
I don't know this.
Quark. Again, Europe. But quark is...
It's also a Ferengi.
It's a dairy. It's a little bit like cottage cheese, I suppose. It's like a mix between yogurt and cottage cheese.
I've never heard this. Really?
Okay.
Wow. Anyway, so we think in
Well,
particle
that joke
physics...
didn't work.
Welcome to America.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So so quarks.
So we think of there are
particles?
fundamental particles out there that we know: electrons, quarks, photons, which are quanta of light, various other things, blah blah blah, neutrinos, for example, and then there are other.
I think you can. That's a supermarket, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
It's where you get your root beer. But then there are other things like protons and neutrons and other things, mesons, baryons that are built of fundamental particles.
Right. So that's the basis of all particle physics.
That's the basis of all particle physics.
That were made out of things that
everything is made out of this stuff.
Made out of these little particles with bits of mass
and they
interact
in certain ways.
And they do, and blah, 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 blah.
Now,
those rules can be determined. Okay.
What
about dark matter? Is that in particle physics?
So dark matter is, if you look at the mass of the universe, the mass energy of the universe, this is a real...
Do we have a sum total, or is that a little bit like infinity, where it's like...
That's actually a complicated question, but we can talk about what makes up the observable universe, right? The matter and energy in the observable universe.
And we're saying particles.
Well, it turns out that the mass energy of the observable universe is mostly something we don't know. And people call that dark energy, typically. We have no idea what it is. It's a huge black eye in theoretical physics because it is a total mystery. And if you try to write down a natural answer for it using like kind of, hey, I bet it would be this, you get a stupid answer that makes no sense at all. So it turns out that
What are you writing it on? A window in crayon? Like,
yeah.
There's a Trent Reznor score happening underneath it.
It's like... It's sort of the equivalent of if someone was like, hey, how many people are in your garage right now, Brian? And I was like, I don't know, 1 million. Like, that's kind of what it is. I just say a number where you're like, how the fuck can that be true? And it's not.
Okay. So to use the garages as our metaphor, universe for now, we are all particles, the four of us in here, but there could be a million other beings, but they're made from all the other stuff.
So imagine if we were to, that's actually a good analogy. So we use this garage and we say, okay, what makes up the stuff in the garage? And my answer was...
particles.
Let's call it 3 people. We're not going to talk about him.
Okay.
3 people plus mostly stuff I know is there, but I don't really understand it.
Right, like the air.
Right.
Then,
so then you can say, and I forget the exact numbers, roughly 70%, I think, of the mass energy of the universe is dark energy, and we just don't know what it is.
Okay.
Then you can talk about the matter in the universe, right, which is like stuff you would think we know.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about
We're talking about the kind of mass energy, and mass and energy are kind of the same thing. We're talking about the energy in the universe. Okay?
Right.
So, but you can talk about what makes up the mass in the universe. Is like if you look at a galaxy. You look out at a galaxy and you can see a bunch of stars and stuff.
Okay, let's bring it back to this. Bring it back to the garage. We're going to talk about this.
You can look at us at the table here.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
And so the situation is like, okay.
Are you still with us?
100% totally.
Okay. Great. I just don't want to lose you along the way because I know we're traveling at I don't know what speed. But
imagine if someone said, okay, well, you have some mass here at the table. But the only thing they could see...
Are you calling me fat? Wow.
I'm not even responding to that. That's how much I don't want to talk about that. I am not, though. So someone was like, the mass of this table... What if someone said, the total mass of everything in and around the table is 3 people?
Okay.
It's not quite true. There's microphones, there's the table, there's other stuff going on here. When you look out at the observable universe, it turns out that we don't even understand most of what makes up the mass of galaxies. We can see stars, but the amount of mass that the stars take up isn't most of what the mass of that galaxy is. And that's what dark matter is. Dark matter is like the extra mass out there that we can't see. And
so
it's
we're
different than
essentially
dark
weighing
energy.
things and we're going, but only like 30% are we able to identify on our own table of elements, and the rest of it is unknown.
Well, even that 30, what I'm saying is 30% of it is not dark energy. It's kind of matter. But even most of that matter, we don't know what it is. And that's
so
dark
it's
matter.
just not on our table of elements.
What we understand through particle physics is a teeny, teeny, tiny fraction of what makes up the stuff in the universe.
Great. So
and it's hugely embarrassing because we've been thinking about this as people for a long time. And
wow, that's arrogant to be embarrassed by what you don't know, though. I mean, we've been doing this
right?
In the big scheme of the universe. We've been doing it for like a hot second.
That is also
honestly.
true. Yeah, that's right. Even for the length of time that humanity has been
who's
existing.
embarrassed? Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. He's the only person that would be arrogantly embarrassed by not knowing this yet. But he worked in string theory.
He did, although my understanding, and I've never watched this show, is that he left string theory at some point. And the anti-string theory people were like, fucking got you. And everyone else was like, it's a sitcom, dude. What are you talking about?
I think he did get disillusioned with string theory.
Yeah, which many people have.
So you worked in, so we've established what particle physics is. So you're in string theory, which is what, like the other side of the fence?
String theory says,
down the corridor?
So imagine, so we think of particles as these zero-dimensional objects, but to really, really simplify it, it even looks bad. To really simplify it, string theory says, what if you really zoomed in on that electron, and it turns out to not be a point at all, but like a little filament of energy, like a string. That essentially is string theory.
Instead of it's a ball, it's a string.
Instead of a point, now there's a lot of caveats to this, which is in the way we think. What if instead of 0 dimensions, it was 1 dimension? Basically, is what string theory says.
0 dimensions.
0 dimension is a point.
Aren't I a 3-dimensional being?
Really 4 because of time. Yes.
So I'm a 4-dimensional being.
But 0, I'm talking about the spatial
But what's
extent.
0?
You are a 3-dimensional spatial being.
Right.
As am I.
Made out of,
Flex.
weirdly. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I am a 3-dimensional being.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Made up of electrons that are a 0-dimensional particle.
This is the interesting thing. Yes.
But you're going to add 1 dimension.
So what I'm going to tell you is
you're going to add width to
a string theorist would say that the electrons and quarks and everything we know are part of a 1-dimensional filament of energy called a string. Now, it turns out when you say that has all kinds of insane implications and solves a lot of problems, but creates others. So the problem it solves, and I could talk about this all day, is...
Yeah, you have been.
Yeah.
So true, clean.
Wow.
Thank
Brutal.
you.
It solves some very hard problems in theoretical physics. Let me just say that. But it creates other problems, like in order for the theory to be consistent, there have to be extra spatial dimensions, which we don't see. So,
I mean, again, as a biologist, I'm sitting here in my 4 dimensions going, if you're struggling in 0 to 1 dimensions, maybe it ain't the field for you.
So, well, yeah,
like maybe there's a problem. We've already got 2, 3, and 4 to get through before we get to 5, 6, and 7.
Well, we understand those. So string theory says probably the universe, if you want string theory to be right, probably the universe is 10-dimensional, 9 space and 1 time. That seems not to be true. So, or is it, and we just can't see the extra dimensions? There's ways out.
I mean, that is the most male thing I've ever heard. Can I just say, hi, I've come up with an idea, and the only way it's going to work is if there's stuff that we don't know is out there that has to be true. So I'm going to continue as if it is true, even though no one can find the other stuff that they said has to be true in order for this to be true, because rather than admit that I'm wrong, I'm just going to make up an entire other set of dimensions in order that That's never have to admit that I'm full of shit.
Okay, fair.
All right, Brian.
But I do want to say the reason
I'd love to talk to the guest about like her expertise and stuff.
To be
like
fair,
the very
she asked me about this. But yes, I do
I'm
agree.
so sorry.
No,
you know what?
okay.
It's my fault. I went down a geek hole.
No, I get it. I
which
completely
is
I have a
very
couple of
different to
those.
a glory hole.
Christ.
Yeah.
If you look in a geek hole, it's full of
Yes,
pencils.
but we do want to talk to you, which is the reason
no,
we're here.
please feel free. I mean, you can cut all that out if you want. I don't mind.
No, it's great. I think that you have a very...
Can you say no, it's great, a little more dismissively, please?
No, it's really great. I am very
Ask me
curious
anything.
about your path, like virology.
Yeah, so there are
foren-
9 extra
forensics.
dimensions.
Jesus Christ. Into forensics, question mark? Like, how did that happen for you?
So it actually started in forensics. So I was a geek in high school. I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. So I wanted to do like postmortems for a living. Because who doesn't? What
Sure.
normal 16-year-old girl? I'm sure we all went through that phase, right? Yeah, right.
Literally, though.
So I wanted to be a forensic pathologist, but I couldn't you need biology and chemistry to do med school.
Right.
In the UK, and I didn't have both biology and chemistry. So I started chemistry in my senior year and it just wasn't going to be enough and it was too much on an already full.
How do you do that in the UK when most undergraduate education is so like tracked? So at Queen Mary, if you were a physicist, you just went to physics.
Yes, so you
So how
have
does
to. That's
that work?
one of the biggest problems I think with the British education system is that because we used to finish school at 16, and
Yeah.
then people would go off and become laborers and whatever, and then those that could afford to or those that were given the encouragement to do so would stay in school and then finish school at 18. But what we do is we have a system after 6. So at 16, you take what's called your GCSEs, which
Yes.
is a series of about 9, 10 different subjects. You study them for 9th and 10th grade. You take all of your exams and you have those as qualifications. Then you narrow down at 16 to 3 subjects.
Right, which is
3
nuts. Yeah, I
at
know.
16.
When you
It's
don't know
awful.
anything
when
about
you don't know
yourself.
what you
Yeah,
want to do,
that's right.
and you're picking 3, and then what you do is you study those deeper and wider. And so I actually did what's called the International Baccalaureate. So I managed to stay at 6 subjects.
We have that here too. Yeah.
But adding a 7th subject was just a bit too much. And I was also only 15 when I was in my final year of my final 2 years. I was 15, 16 when I was doing them. So it was just too much. So in the end, I couldn't go to med school to become a forensic pathologist. But the other thing that I loved in school was viruses. I thought viruses were fascinating.
Is med school in the UK, you would go there for undergraduate?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah,
That's
and law,
that's,
and same with law. There's
but that's
no,
the difference because here
Yeah.
med school is like after undergraduate, right? Okay.
No, I know.
Now
And I think
now
that's one of the
understand.
few
Yeah.
things that America does better, is that on paper, the path through to, the path of education is broad and liberal arts. And people would say to me, oh, I my degree was this, but I took some classes in that. And I'm like, that sounds
That's pretty
wonderful.
typical. In my
Absolutely
experience
wonderful.
in the UK, liberal arts was a punchline. People would be like, "We do have a liberal arts degree," know, and it's like,
no, we make them, I guess essentially, because, sex is legal at 16, marriage is legal at 16 with parental permission, joining the military is legal with parental permission. Like, we pretty much kick our 16-year-olds in the gut and just go,
Right.
how much of an adult do you want to be? Do it.
Yeah. But anyway, you were
So
saying,
we narrowed down to, and the other thing I loved was viruses. I just think viruses are incredible as just what they are. They're not alive, but they aren't alive by the standards of, in biology, we have 7 things you must do in order to be alive, and they don't hit all 7. And so they're not alive, but they wreak such havoc, and they're so efficient in their way of targeting and procreating. And I say procreate, maybe they just recreate. I guess they don't even procreate,
I've been told my approach to lovemaking is
targeted?
workmanlike is the phrase that has been used. Yeah.
Listen, if you get the job done,
Joyless
I think,
and workmanlike.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
I have 1 kid successfully. So
oh, okay, that's not what we were thinking about at all
Okay.
in terms of
what else is I genuinely
what
don't
else is there.
understand. Yeah.
What other job is there to get done when you're in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Physicist.
So true, Kim.
Yeah.
Please
Right?
continue.
Okay.
How's it feel getting it 2 sides at once?
I love
Brian?
it. It's kind of. I thought I have to pay for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we'll make you pay
Anyway,
for that.
yeah,
Don't
no,
you worry.
Leighton already
No, if
is.
not
Yeah.
us, your wife when she listens to this podcast.
Joke's on you.
She doesn't listen.
to
She
anything
Doesn't
I
listen
do.
to the episode?
Unless she's
well,
a
that's
guest,
a relief. Okay. And so I love viruses. So I went into pathology because it felt like a halfway house between what I wanted to do, and it has virology in the degree. And then towards the end of that degree, I specialized in viruses. And then off the back of that, was able to get the PhD and keep going. And herpes was just that's what the funding was there for. When I applied to a number of different places, and I looked at where the funding had gone to different labs.
Yeah.
And I'd contacted Paul Kellum, who was my supervisor. And I actually contacted him while I was still in my undergrad. And I said, look, love your lab, love what you do. Oh, you got some money. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh my God. And I said, can I do my undergraduate project with you? So he set me work. So instead of doing it with my uni, I did it with him. And then off the back, and I got a first in it. And honestly, which is our grading system. We have first, 2, 1, 2, 2, thirds. So it's like an A. But I wasn't.
Although, compared to an A here, which is 90% and up, a first there, I believe, is 70%
70% and up.
when we were grading. Which
that's
is,
nice.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, we don't. And we also do curves, which I never came across before. The whole thing of curving, and it is insane. So get this, we curve the entire country every year.
Yep, that's right.
By which I mean, we'll give you, so let's say just in math GCSE, okay? Every 16-year-old in the country is going to sit this exam. And then we're going to look at the grades. And if the top 5% in that particular year only it got between 80 and 85% on that exam, then they get the A. Mm-hmm. But the year after, if you're in a really smart year and you all take your math GCSE and the top 5% got 95 to 100%, then they get the A.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the year of your birth. If you're super smart and got 87%, but you're in the smart year, you're going to get a B. But if you were in the year above,
nuts.
You would have gotten an A star.
Yeah, it was
Isn't that insane?
Bad enough being the kid in the class who fucked up the curve for everybody else consistently. I'm imagining it being the whole generation.
Being the whole, and it also
Rough.
means though that as an employer, which is what irritates me, as an employer, I can have a kid come and go, I got A stars and everything, and I can be like, yeah, but you were born in the year where they put something in the water. That means nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is herpes a particularly interesting virus?
I think herpes is fascinating, but I mean, I've grown to love it. Do you know what I mean? Like it was foisted upon me, not physically. I mean, it is. I think it is a really interesting virus, and it was really nice to work on something that, we were one level back from the front line in terms of medical innovation with it. So we were investigating and learning as much as we could about herpes and viruses in general and their interactions with their hosts in order that we could then utilize them in medicine. Yeah. So herpes viruses are a double-stranded DNA virus. There are 8 human herpes viruses. You've only heard of 2, most likely, which will be your cold sores and your genital herpes, which are 1 and 2. But then chickenpox is the third herpes virus, which a lot of people don't realize. 4
which is the same as shingles, right?
It is the virus that causes shingles.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes.
So the presentations of HHV3 is chickenpox and shingles. 4 is Epstein-Barr virus.
Oh, okay, right.
5 is cytomegalovirus, which can have a similar presentation to Epstein-Barr. So if you have mono, you most likely have Epstein-Barr, but you might have cytomegalo. It can enlarge the spleen. It can make you very tired.
Have people known that as Epstein-Barr is viral for a long time, or is that?
Well, Epstein-Barr is a virus.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Like it is the name of that virus.
I thought it was the name of the syndrome that the virus causes. No, it's the virus.
Well, the virus, yes. So HHV4 is the Epstein-Barr virus that causes Epstein-Barr,
okay, got it. Cool.
which is mono, or it causes mono.
Yeah. Okay.
6 and 7 are childhood fevers that we've all probably picked up and probably had. And then 8 is Kaposi's sarcoma, which can cause skin growth. Sarcomas on the skin. You see it very commonly in people who are immunosuppressed. So we saw it a lot, around like people with AIDS before we had better control treatments, and also in Mediterranean men. Mediterranean men quite commonly get Kaposi's sarcoma, which is
just
insane.
For some genetic
for some reason they often, it's like dark growths on the skin. And so those are the 8. But the interesting thing about herpes is it's not just for Christmas, it's for life. Right. Okay, so once you have it forever, which is why, generally speaking, most of us with good health will get chickenpox once when we're children and never see it again.
Right.
Or you had chickenpox when you were a kid, and then for whatever reason you're really ill or immunosuppressed, and then suddenly you get shingles and you're like, because it kind of lives up in and around the nerves, which is why shingles tends to only present on one side of the body because it's living on one half of your, comes out on one side. Or you might always get cold sores in one particular place because it's coming down that nerve pathway to that place on your mouth or on your lips. And because it stays with you forever, and because it actually goes in and its DNA interacts with your DNA, that's why we are using it as a viral vector, as we call it, to try and give people genes that they're missing, like in cystic fibrosis, for example, is to try and be able to with gene therapy replace what's missing, and or use it to deliver cancer treatments, or to, because it goes into the cells. So we're trying to use it to target cancer cells, for example, and say, go in there and like deliver this protein that'll kill this cell, but won't kill any others, because it's only targeting the cancer cells. So it was really fascinating that way. And the other thing is it's super, super old. So every species we've ever looked for a herpes virus and we found one.
Is it the oldest known virus? Or is that true?
No,
is that true of any other
bacteriophages.
viruses?
Bacteriophages will be much older because, of course, bacteria existed long before multicellular organisms did. So the bacteriophages will be probably the oldest form of virality that we have. But, when you look at even things like prions, which are self-replicating proteins, you go, well, what was that a precursor to, and everything else? But, we look in zebrafish, we look in frogs, we look in most mammals, and we'll find a herpes virus, which means that the relationship between herpes and what we are now started way back before we even evolved into humans. Yeah. And not every species will have 8, and they won't all, it's not like all the animal kingdom has chickenpox. What's the definition
of a herpes virus?
Well, no, it's a family. The same way that you have it's a family of viruses.
That family is what I'm asking.
Of viruses, you will have, they'll have different genome makeups, because you don't just have double-stranded DNA. You can have double-stranded RNA, single-stranded RNA. You can have different. So each virus is its own unique. Like when you look at it, I guess the best way to say is if you look at it, you can see from its shape, from whether it has a capsid, from what kind of surface proteins, whether it has a lipid membrane. Like they're all built slightly differently. Some will just have a capsid that very simply is a container that holds the proteins, and they figure out a way into the cell, replicate, and then make way more capsids. Some of them will have this. So herpes has a lipid membrane, which it makes from your lipid membrane from your cells. So when you've got your cell, which you remember from biology is like an amorphous bag of liquid. And when the virus goes in, one will go in, and then it'll replicate exponentially inside the cell using the cell's replication machinery that it uses itself to make proteins and to replicate DNA and proteins and the rest of it. And then it'll make its capsid. So the capsid's made out of its own specific viral proteins. And then the last thing it'll do is all of these, millions of thousands at least of capsids will then push their way out of the cell and take a little bit of that envelope with them. And that'll make their envelope. And so the last thing the cell does is kind of like its protective bag shell becomes thousands of small protective bag shells on these other little viruses as it goes. So we look at, we divide viruses into a taxonomy the way that you would divide. If you found a new species, you'd go, okay, what's it most related to and how?
Certain taxons might have multiple things in that, but then they're differentiated by their genomes.
Yeah, so you've got the family of herpes, under which there are 8 human herpes viruses, but there are also frog viruses and horse viruses and, all the other ones that infect different animals. And when you what we hear a lot of is this term zoonosis. And zoonosis is when a virus that's very much meant to only infect chickens is suddenly infecting humans. It's crossed species. Because viruses don't procreate with each other, because they go into a cell and do their own thing. They're not actually meeting up with another virus and recombining with that other virus, which is how we define species. We go, right, if I take this tiger and I mate it with this tiger, will it make another tiger that can also have babies? Okay, great. They're in the same species. Sometimes we might go, oh, they're in the same genus, but on a theoretical level or on a pure
theoretical.
Well, no. Well, what you can do though is you can take this horse and you can mate it with this donkey.
Hell yeah.
And you get an ass. Now they've.
Thank you for timing that just as she was taking a drink, because you really got her with that.
Nearly
it
a
was
spit take.
The fact that you didn't spit, is that coffee? What is that?
It's water.
It was water all over the table. The moment you said ass your timing was just perfect. I don't know if that was deliberate, but I'm going to assume it was, because it was awesome.
We timed it. Yeah. We discussed it earlier. She and I.
Mind meld.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway,
but you can take a horse and a donkey, you can make an ass, but if the ass can't procreate itself, like it will be, what do you call it?
Lord knows I've tried.
So, jet lagged. What's the word when you can't have babies? You're
Sterile?
Fertile?
Yeah, it's sterile, basically. Then you know you got two separate species, right? And these two cannot procreate with each other, so they're two separate species, but they're very closely related.
Yeah.
They're closely related enough that the sperm of one and the egg of the other was able to make a living creature, like a liger. You know, when you get like a lion and a tiger, but it can't make other ligers. It's not going to suddenly. And that's how we define species. Now, in viruses, of course, we don't have that. We can't go, ooh, let's put this pox virus in with this herpes virus and see if they make a virus baby. They don't work that way. So the species are defined slightly differently, which is what the ICTV does, the International Committee of the Taxonomy of Viruses. And they're the ones that determine that SARS-2, which we commonly call COVID-19, but actually COVID-19 is the disease, not the virus. SARS-2, they looked at it and they went, this genetic code is sufficiently different to SARS-1 that they are the same, like they're related, they're cousins, but they're not the same.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. That does answer my question.
In the way that I would ask a music aficionado, like, what's your favorite deep cut album? What's your favorite deep cut virus?
I like this question.
Oh, that is such a good one. That is such a good question. I mean, they're all pretty incredible and scary in terms of what they do, you know? I mean, obviously I have a soft spot in my heart for herpes because of its potential to be able to help with things, you know, that we can actually go, you know, we've lived with herpes for so long that it's no longer deadly. It's kind of like this wonderful partnership where they go, look, mate, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to come in and I'm going to have to use some of your cells and I'm going to have to procreate and it's going to be a bit painful, but
For
I'm
most
not going to
people,
kill
it's
you.
an inconvenience.
It's an inconvenience, but I'm not going to kill you.
Yeah.
And you're there going, look, this is really irritating. I have to tell everybody that I sleep with that you're here, but I'm not dead. Grateful, right? Whereas with Ebola, or right now, Mpox, which is happening, you know, which is spreading. It's scary. It's really super scary what's going on with both of those things. And they're not at a scale in the world big enough yet that we've got everybody putting money into it. You know what I mean? So it's a real risk for people. And especially, vulnerable communities are suffering from this. So I would say, I mean,
well, and there's this
Ebola's
kind of
pretty spectacular.
innate racism to what viruses get funding and what don't, right? For research.
Well,
like Mpox.
of course. I mean, until Mpox or Ebola truly affect a native European or American population, we're going to just kind of go, it's not our problem.
Hopefully that doesn't come over.
It's not our problem. Yeah. But I think what I like about things like herpes and poxvirus is that kind of work, you know, it's like, hey, it's kind of like having that frenemy that you've just been around with. So you know in the movie where they're enemies, they're frenemies until there's a real enemy, and then they go, you know what, you and me together against that. And you go, oh, that's so nice. They do love eeach other. You know, so it's kind of a bit like that, even though it isn't.
Yeah, we've had Cheap Show on the show. We know I feel like this would be a good place to move on to segments.
Okay.
What time are we at over there,
Oh,
Paul?
wait. One quick question,
Yes,
though.
please.
Because I just feel like I want to ask your background. Like, where did you go to uni? What did you study?
I'm an art school dropout and a game developer and a writer.
That is so cool.
So I'm in a very different realm of things. I also, I went to school for sequential art, which is like making comics. And then I made a video game that was really successful and I dropped out and now I'm here.
Well,
wait, you made a video game while you were still at uni?
Yeah, I did. It's called Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, which is a game.
Wait, whoa. Dream Daddy?
Yes.
A dad dating simulator? Yeah. Oh my God, talk me through that.
It's a visual novel where you play as a hot dad and your goal is to meet and romance other hot dads. So you make, dialogue choices and you play mini games and then you end up with the dad in your dreams.
It's a wonderful game.
You're a hot dad dating another hot dad?
It's a dating
sim. Yeah.
So it's a gay dating sim?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah, no, I do things. I don't just sit here.
No, Leighton is a very, very accomplished
that's incredible.
Game designer and artist.
So what we have is you with your theoretical physics. Like, I did all these postdocs and I went to Michigan. And then we got me and I went, I did it. And then I left and I did it. You just went, I didn't even need the degree. I just was successful while I was still at uni.
That's right. She saw
and I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
Leighton was going along. She saw an opportunity to do a podcast with yours truly and decided to drop out of uni and take it.
Yeah, it's a glamorous life we lead in this garage surrounded by
that's right. all this equipment we set up ourselves.
Particles and mass.
Like, no,
Yeah.
Leighton, I mean,
Strings
really,
in 9
just to
dimensions.
brag about Leighton a little bit, like she really, I mean, kind of invented this game with a collaborator out of whole cloth. Like it was essentially, you know, you had a team, but there were just two main forces behind it, Leighton and Vernon, and it was a huge indie game hit. Like it's very, very, when you know the context and the
What platform?
everything,
Any platform. You can
all
play
of
it on
them.
your phone.
So I can download this as an app after this?
Yeah.
I am
Yeah, you
totally
can.
doing that.
You can do it on, I mean, it's on
It's on
Steam,
PlayStation,
right?
Xbox, Steam, Switch.
It's amazing. Yeah. When we first met, you were 19? No,
I-
19?
the
Well, sorry,
game-
we first met at a con, but I don't remember that.
Yes, the game came out a month before I turned 20.
Yeah.
And then I got-
We probably met 2 years before that in some capacity. right?
Yes,
Okay,
and I'm on the Forbes 30 under 30 list, which I was on the 30 under 30 when I was under 20. So
That's incredible. So, okay. What makes a 19-year-old go, do you know what this market needs? A gay dating simulation.
mental illness. I don't know. I grew up formative years on the internet as a bisexual media enjoyer, and was like, why isn't there like we're taking all these straight characters from things and making them kiss? What if we just had a thing where they're gay in it? So that is how. And there was just like a zeitgeisty obsession with dads, and it all just kind of came together.
Wow.
The thing that she's not saying about this game is, although that's the hook, the gay
Right,
dad dating
yeah.
simulator, it is really this very exceptionally well-written and sweet game about what it means to have a family.
Aw.
Really.
Wow, that's a really nice way to
That's the way
summarize
I
it. Yeah.
explain it to people, because it's not, the meme part or the part that brings people in is the gay dad dating simulator, but it's
Yeah,
really
it's
like it is this very sweet, wholesome, and fun, genuinely funny.
Brian
game.
does a voice in it.
I am so
I
excited
do
to
a
play
small
this.
part in it. It's great. You should.
I'm so okay.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, have you done other games?
Yeah, I co-wrote a horror game that came out 2 years ago. 2 years ago?
Too within the last
Within the
it's like
last
a year
year.
and a half ish. Right.
Homebody is a psychological horror game where you're on a little vacation retreat with your friends from college who you are not as close to as you maybe once were, and you're also getting chased by a monster, and it's a time loop, and you got to figure out how to stop dying.
Also great. Another great game.
Yeah,
And that's Leighton and our
Okay.
friend Jory wrote
I mean-
that together. Yeah. All right. So we now are moving on to the section of the show that we call segments.
Okay.
And we have two segments on the show. The first, the primary segment, is our pop culture recommendation segment. This is where you get to talk about just something you've been enjoying recently, a book, movie, video game. Could be a scientific paper, could be a virus, could be whatever you like. It doesn't have to be pop culture. The name of this segment is called What's Poppin'? And it does have a theme song, which you will not hear now
Okay.
because we insert it in post.
And you're not even going to sing a little bit for me as a musician?
I am not, because I
Okay.
want to ask you
All right.
the following question. Now, given that you haven't heard the theme song, if you had heard the theme song, what would you have thought of it? Would you have liked it or not? What do you suspect?
So I haven't heard it,
That's
but
correct.
if I had heard it,
Yes.
would I have liked it?
You got me.
This is you looking for validation, because
Not
I'm going to
necessarily. You
presume
could-
as the musician.
Nope. You could look. You could
You're
get.
the one
You
who
could
wrote
get
it.
bad musician vibes from me. I don't know. That's not up to me. I am loath to dictate anyone else's experience.
and you know that he works in the theoretical, so
So
Yes.
it's not a real theme song.
It's a real theme. Oh.
It's a real theme song.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it's a real theme
Okay.
song.
All right.
Let me be honest. It is a real theme song. I have my own opinion of it, which is, let's just say it's the same theme song we had since the beginning of the show.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it has to be your opinion.
So in my head, so first of all, I should say that musically,
Yep.
I have, you know when people can't see out of, like, they have no peripheral vision,
Sure.
like just medically, they're like, all I see is this whole.
Yep.
Right? So I have no vision
Okay.
musically when
Great.
it comes to things like R&B, hip hop. Like there's just huge black
Sure.
holes.
Yep.
You know, Drake, I know the name.
That's it. Honestly.
Could not pick him out of a
with
lineup,
Drake, I recommend you
musically
stop
or anything,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Couldn't.
Yeah.
Stormzy, I
Here's
may
the
or
thing
may
too
not be able
about
to recognize
Drake.
him.
He
Right?
started from the bottom, but now he's here.
He's here.
Yeah.
good bit, Brian.
Thank you. It's a Drake song.
Oh, but when you tell me that the segment's called "What's Poppin'," obviously the song that pops into my head as a theme tune is Popcorn.
Okay, yeah, the synth by Kirsten Kingsley, I believe is the name.
Wow.
I believe.
I mean, welcome to your university challenge team.
Right?
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
So in my head, it sounds a bit something like that.
I think actually, was it, I believe sorry, this is just for my own benefit, as is everything I do.
Do you want a moment?
Hot Butter, right? Thank you. Hot Butter recorded it, but Kirsten Kingsley, I think, wrote it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
There we go.
That was
Wow.
amazing.
Okay.
I'm a
I
synth
don't know
guy.
what that was, but it felt amazing, didn't it?
Synergy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good song.
great
You know
stuff.
what? You nailed it. That's what it is.
So that's what I think in my head.
Great.
Yeah.
And
so
do you
as
like
a
that?
So as a
Like, that's the
result, it's the
question.
it's that love-hate thing. It's a bit like, heroin. You don't want to do it, but it's so Moorish, So you every time you hear it, you sing along, but then it's stuck in your head for days, and you're like, oh my God, get it out.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what I suspect your theme tune is.
Moorish
love
is
it.
a word that Americans should use more.
Yes, we do not hear that much over here.
Oh, you don't?
No.
It's very specific,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? Layton, what's poppin'?
What's poppin' for me is, you know me, I love watching heartwarming media where people live and have a good time. So this,
Like happiness.
like Todd Salon's Happiness.
Yes, right.
So I usually watch Fucked Up. I'm a big horror person. I have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre tattoo. It's, this is my season. But I watched a nice, wholesome movie for once. Well, sort of, called The Florida Project with Willem Dafoe. And it's fabulous.
I really thought you were going to say Terrifier 3.
Wait, this is a feel good? Okay, there we go. All right.
Yeah, it takes place in like a motel in Orlando, like near the parks, and it's about a little girl and her single mom who lives in the motel, and Willem Dafoe is the manager of the motel, and it's about like the adventures of the little girl and her friends, and there's very adult subtext and text happening.
I don't know if I like that. I don't know.
No, it's like I have a hard time crying by the end of it. I was like weeping
because it was feel good, not
because it's feel good. I mean,
Okay,
it's
okay.
like it's bittersweet, but it's beautiful and nice. I very life affirming.
okay.
So I don't know. Sean Baker, the what is it? Anora, the one that's out right now, that won Palme d'Or. But yeah, he also did Red Rocket and Tangerine, which is also a great movie. So what's popping for me is The Florida Project, which is streaming on HBO Max.
I love it.
Yeah. Who wants to pop?
See. Do you have anything you want to say?
I
Rhea?
could pop. Okay, so I will say this now. I'm always a little behind the times.
Sure.
So I'm gonna pop. Two things are popping. All right.
I'll be curious if what you say is going to be older than the thing I say.
Oh, okay. Possibly not.
Possibly not.
Now, I do satirical political comedy in the UK. So when these things came out, I wasn't quite into it yet, which is why I'm only watching them now. But what I did grow up with was Star Trek. Love Star Trek.
Okay,
I mean,
great.
if we're going to talk feel good,
I
where
also
everybody
love
just
Star
gets along,
Trek.
I
Yes.
absolutely love Star Trek.
Which one did you grow up with? Which was your main Star Trek growing up?
Well, I grew up with Next Gen.
Yeah, same.
But I then discovered at uni, and again, I'm always behind. I discovered Voyager at uni and then binge watched that entire thing. And just as a woman, you just go, oh my God, it's a woman.
Yeah.
But then, watching the whole thing going, oh, she can't possibly have a love life because you can't have a queen with a king because which is the same problem that Queen Elizabeth had and Prince Philip. It was this whole thing of, but men are better than women, but she's the queen and he's only a prince and it hurts his manhood. So we got to give him something. And he's like, oh, I mean, it's a whole other podcast episode. And that happened Voyager where, she couldn't possibly have love because she had to, mother the entire ship. And I'm like, there was one episode, my favorite, sidebar, tangentially. Favorite episode
of
Voyager was when her and Chakotay had to stay on a planet because they'd been infected, and if they left,
Oh,
they'd
yeah, I
die.
remember that one, yep.
But then they got and they came back for them. But they basically were settling into life with each other forever, and they almost got together and then didn't. And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
So if I had time for fan fiction, my fan fiction would be writing what happened if they stayed on that planet.
I love it when Star Trek gets domestic, like Inner Light.
Yes.
The Inner Light from Next Generation. You remember that one?
No.
That's where
maybe.
a probe comes by and kind of knocks Picard out, and he has this whole life with a family.
okay.
It's like it's the best episode of Next Generation, kind of.
But it's and then you come back and you miss what never was.
Yeah,
right.
But he has this whole lived experience of an entire family life that he never had.
I think they did that. Actually, they did that bigger in another series, which I don't want to say too much about because I don't want to like spoil it all. But they did it in another series where he goes down, has a whole life. He thinks they're never coming back. Then 11 years later, they come back and get him. But in order to pull him out, it means that whole life didn't exist because they're going to pull him out of the timeline. No? It's either Star Trek or I think it is Star Trek. Or it's one of the other many wonderful. Okay, all of our geeks online will basically come and go, it's this, and they have to pull him back. And at the end of the episode, he's all sad. Oh, but my wife, my kids. It's like, but they never, won't have ever existed. And everyone, because I'm autistic, so I look at that and go, but they didn't exist. You're not killing anyone, and they're like, no, but it's so sad. And then I said, but he's not going to remember. So he's also not going to remember.
Oh, he's also not going to remember.
So why are we? And everyone else is emoting for what they know. And I'm there going, but he doesn't know, which means like, why am I the autistic when I'm the only one with any theory of mind right now? Anyway, so then I discovered late West Wing. Now, West Wing, it turns out, is political Star Trek. Down to how they orchestrated it. They used horn sections to sort of say, oh, our president's going to do something amazing. So I watched all of that, but then I needed something I finished all that and I went, what's the natural sequel to that? And people went Madam Secretary with Téa Leoni.
Oh, so I haven't seen either. Rachel's a huge West Wing fan. I haven't seen either West Wing or Madam Secretary.
Madam Secretary, Téa Leoni, was exactly the same thing. It's basically if you're in our, you have to obviously be politically minded in a particular way, but if you are, then watching that is the most feel-good political thing you can ever come across. Cool, yeah. Where you just go, this is me. But what's interesting to me is the husband, who's played by Tim Daly, and I think they also got together. I think he was the dad in like. Is he the dad in Seventh Heaven? No, Tim Daly. Look, as soon as you see it, like Google him now. As soon as you look at his face, you'll be like, oh, him.
That guy. He's been a billion.
That guy.
Okay, yeah.
Right. I think they actually got together like behind the show, but he plays the perfect husband. He is and it's really made me think recently because I also remember Ghost Whisperer from way back when. Sure. I found that on Disney recently and I was watching that and her husband in that is also pretty freaking perfect.
Is that right?
Yeah. But her husband in that is also pretty freaking perfect. And I'm like, hang on a second. Most things are written by men. Most things are. And even if they are, even if they're written by women, how is it that men watch these shows, watch The Perfect Husband, watch The Perfect Man? How come we're creating these perfect men on screen all the time and yet it's not happening in real life? And it's really beginning to bug me because that's what numbers game, mate. All right. Like bell curve, basic bell curve here. Yeah, the majority of women are not getting that in their.
Don't ask Rachel about this, but.
Don't? No. Okay.
I'm sure she has a very valid opinion, but
I'm sure she has a very valid opinion. But as a man, I don't listen
with
to
her
it.
little girl brain.
Yeah.
Oh my God, does she girl math? And you're like, so good. I know her and her math in real life versus
as far as I know, I'm the best husband ever. Right?
How many has she had?
You know what? It occurs to me I've never asked her that specific question.
Oh my gosh. You married a woman and you don't know if you're like...
I believe the answer is one total ever.
And you think it's you?
But
you don't know?
Fingers crossed.
It's you.
You hope?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know.
All right. You know what? I'll give you points. I'll give you points for that.
We've got something to talk about.
Wow, after 17 years,
yeah,
it's nice to have something new to bring to the
is,
table.
yes.
So listen, I know it's been going well.
I forgot to ask this before in the previous 17 years, but have you ever been married before?
So anyway, Madam Secretary. So one of the things I want to push is Madam Secretary. If you haven't watched it, that's the more modern one. West Wing's quite old, but if you want to have loads of stuff to binge your West Wing, then your Madam Secretary. And if you like that kind of thing, if you like Star Trek, you'll love this politically. It's just,
I love it.
Just wonderful. And if you, like me, use your box sets to like get through mundane stuff, it's great, right? Yeah. But the other thing I've started watching, which is far more recent, is The Resident. And The Resident is with, I don't know his actual name, but he plays Carrie Agos on Good Wife. Good Life. Good Wife? Good Life?
Good Wife.
Carrie Agos.
But there
yeah.
is a Good Life too, isn't there?
Yeah,
I
it was
don't-
Good
I've never
Wife,
watched
then
any-
Good Life. One way or the
I've
other.
been
Anyway,
told those are great, and I've never watched them.
they're both great as well. If you like legal stuff, they're both great. But
Yeah.
it's the actor who plays Carrie Agos, and he is now playing a resident in a hospital. But it's a really interesting insight into how much medicine is a business here. So
Yeah.
The Resident is
the
what's
show.
popping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry,
great.
I'm so tangential. I've had
It's okay.
sugar.
No,
It's fine.
It's
That's
Halloween.
what we
I've
do
had
here.
sugar.
Yeah.
It is all good. Brian,
Yes.
what is popping?
Well, as I hoped/feared, the thing that's popping for me this week is older than the stuff that you mentioned.
Okay.
It is so context. About 2 weeks ago, I was in a thrift shop with Rachel, and we walked into this shop, and this music was playing that I've never scrambled for my phone to find Shazam faster than I did at that moment. I was like, what is this? Is everything I have ever wanted out of music. The band is called Shack Attack. They're a British jazz funk band from the early 80s. And I wrote down the name of the album. The name of the album is Nightbirds from 1982. And I think I immediately texted our friend Commander Meouch, and I was like, dude, Shack Attack. And he's like, yeah, you don't know Shack Attack? Which of course he was going to say. But it is almost like the perfect music for me. It's very jazzy, but very slick production, yacht rocky adjacent. A lot of their songs have an instrumental verse and then a vocal chorus, which is really interesting with like tight harmonies. I love this band. I'd never heard of them before. I think they're still performing. They've been around forever. They also, they have one song. I want everybody to hear this song, and I can't play it right now because I don't have my phone. But they have a song called Dark
me to
is,
try?
you know what?
What's it called?
Well, you know what? I actually don't want to because I want people to discover this on their own. Because I had a moment listening to this song that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So just go. We're not going to play it right now. Okay. Go listen to the song Dark is the Night by Shack Attack. This, by the way, I had to look up how to pronounce it. It's Shakatak. Shack Attack. Not like Shaquille O'Neal Attack.
Okay, that's
which
what
was
I was
my first
imagining.
Well,
Yeah.
I was like, it has to be Shack Attack or something like that. Mm-hmm. I get it's based on a local record store in London or something. But yeah, Shakatak. Could not be more excited about this band. I've been trying to listen to everything they've ever done. It's so great. So that's what's popping for me. This early 80s British jazz funk band.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's what was popping. And now it's time for our second and final segment, which is 3 parts gratitude exercise and 1 part petty grousing. And the name of the segment is Peaches and Lemons. Theme song goes here.
Peaches and lemons. Peaches and lemons.
We will each start with a lemon, which is a thing that is a minor bummer or annoyance. Or how did you put it, Brian, in the way that you attributed to me?
Something that bothers
that's
you
gonna
for 10 minutes.
bum you out for like 10 minutes, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
You were poised
I
with
did.
your.
I printed this out.
Did
and I
you,
was
did you
recording this on my phone.
forward your notes to yourself?
I often will type these as a draft on Gmail.
All right.
So that
Then-
was very judgmental. That spoke volumes.
Then he printed it out. He printed
I would
it
normally
out.
look at it on my phone, but I'm pointing at my phone's recording right now. So
Give him a break. He's 40.
here's what I'm going to say. So we went trick-or-treating last night. It's
Okay.
November 1st. We went trick-or-treating last night with our lovely friend who's in the room with us, whose name I promised not to mention, but he's sitting right over there. His first American, you know what? I'll say it. I'm that kind of guy. It's Paul Gannon.
Woo!
I got jump scared a little bit, genuinely.
It was Paul's first American trick-or-treating experience, which was fun. And he got to, Audrey went out with her best friend, and she was a little purple witch, and her best friend was going to be a devil girl, but forgot her horns and tail. And so was then just a generalized vampire, which was still very cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And anyway, first of all, in our neighborhood, no one trick-or-treats, which I don't understand why it's so neighborhood specific. We went out to the neighborhood we normally go to, and there were very few houses, like giving out candy. And in one little section, there was a cluster, but I'd say every third house, maybe. You think that's about right, Paul? Only every third house was giving out candy. And I was like, why are there so few houses giving out candy this year? And none in our block. I was so excited when we moved here from London. Finally back trick-or-treating. When I was a kid, we'd just walk out of the house and go trick-or-treat. I was in the suburbs of New Jersey. It's probably not like that everywhere. Maybe it wasn't like that out here ever. I really don't know. But we went to this place, nearby neighborhood, and only every third house was giving out candy. Why? I don't know. And look, obviously, if that's not your thing, don't do it. But I'd like more buy-in from our communities to trick-or-treating, because it is such a fun, joyous thing to be a kid and go trick-or-treating and to take your kid trick-or-treating because they're just having a great time. I love it when the kids run up, they're tiny and they trick-or-treat, thank you. They're waving and people are talking. It's a real community thing. Everyone's on the streets chatting, all these different families from all these different backgrounds. It's the best. And I just wish I wish there was more community buy-in.
I've heard the same thing from other friends. And also Susie told me that most kids don't say trick or treat now.
What?
Yeah.
What,
No,
just
you-
entitlement? Just fill it
No,
up?
no, not even that, but just can I have some candy? No, you
What?
say the line.
No, I don't
Gotta
believe,
say the
I don't
line.
believe that. I hope that's not
don't?
true. That's fucked. I'm sorry. Kids, that's fucked.
You say
If don't
trick or
say
treat.
You say trick or treat or I'm coming for you.
And also, you have to be prepared for a trick. Everyone automatically assumes it'll always be a treat. There's this beautiful video.
That's right.
I mean, again, it's on socials, but there's this video of this woman and she's coming, she's talking to the Ring doorbell. And she's like, I'm so angry right now. I'm so angry. She has this bag of Ferrero Rocher. Do you have that
Yeah,
here?
yes,
right.
sure.
So you gave my kid this bag of really expensive chocolates and he was so excited. Now he's crying. He's crying at home. And she gets one out. She says, because in here, it's not chocolate. It's a Brussels sprout. And not just one. And she opens another. Two, you gave
That
him all
fucking
Brussels. And
rules.
the guy's like, it's trick or treat.
I
You
have
got
to
a
say
trick.
though, I would feel bad if I did that to a child, but it is funny that it happened.
No, the real trick are the houses that give out toothbrushes. How passive aggressive
yeah.
is that?
Yeah.
Do you know what so when we did, I remember we used to live in California till I was like elementary school aged. And my mother would never let us have sugar. So we were allowed to go trick-or-treating and then it would all be taken away from us. 1 hour a week, I was allowed sugar between 11 and 12 on a Saturday. And the rest of the year when it wasn't Halloween, she would have this jar and those were the sweets I was allowed to have. And they were all boiled, hard candies.
Oh yeah, okay.
So that it would take me way longer to get through one. So in an
Yeah,
hour,
yeah,
I
I
could
see,
eat
I
far
see, I
less
see.
than if I'd
Right,
had
right, right.
Skittles
Yes.
or Haribo
Yeah.
or something. And at Halloween, and even as a small child who wasn't even in kindergarten, I was embarrassed by it. She refused to give out sweets. She would pop popcorn, put them in bags, and then hand out bags of
Nope.
popcorn.
Nope,
And
nope,
I
nope,
mean,
nope,
and
nope.
I was like, no one's eating that. It's such a waste.
you're throwing that out.
You throw that away unless you know that it's us. You throw it
For
away.
a while, people were giving out some houses would give out little pencils and shit. And I'm sorry, if
yeah.
you're giving out pencils, fuck you.
Don't join in.
I
Don't
feel
join in,
very-
right?
No, don't do it. Just don't do it. if
Well-
you're like, well, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna, unless it's if you're giving out a cool thing, that's fine.
Like that little car that I was playing
That
with
little
in
car
there.
was cool. That had the
Yeah,
little pull
yeah.
it back.
If you can
but
do
if
a
you're giving
fun
out
little
a
thing, yeah.
fucking golf pencil for Halloween, just because it has
That's
a stupid
nuts.
spider on it, and I say this honestly, go fuck yourself if you're giving out pencils on Halloween.
Oh, well, okay, but I do appreciate people who might go, here's the general candy, here's something if you're vegan or whatever
So this
else.
is
Like
one of the
that-
houses
I
we
get
went to
that.
actually did something like that, had a table of candy and then other little stuff out. And I thought that was nice.
Just in case. Because I think, that's nice to be inclusive for those that can't just...
Some places, and I kind of have mixed feelings about this, have they have signs up that it's allergy free or nut free
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah, that's nice.
I kind of have mixed feelings about it, although I do appreciate the thought. All right. That's my lemon.
Do you want to know how Halloween works where I live in the middle of London?
Of course I do.
Where?
There are a group of us that email around, and whoever's around, I wasn't around this year, but you get an address list and then you go to the address list because of that problem, because not everybody will automatically in the middle of,
Right.
but I'm talking about the middle of London. We're talking about shops and everything else. So if you live there and you want to take your kids trick-or-treating, you're not going to be able to knock on every
yeah,
door.
right.
So you have to, so we pre-plan it in the neighborhood and
That's
just do a
interesting.
list.
Yeah.
Like a mail route, but
Yeah,
candy
exactly. And
in
then if
reverse.
there's loads on the route, we just set off at different
Well,
times.
and my understanding too with the UK is that when the age I would have been a child, trick or treating simply did not exist, and
I think
Halloween
it's
was
come in
not
the
a
last
thing.
20 years.
Yeah. All right.
You know.
Who's got another lemon?
I will go. So I don't like being a hater. That's a state of being I frequently
You
find
say
myself
that, yet
in.
this is the third episode in a row where you hated on something, but please continue.
Yeah, well, that's why it's 11.
Uh-huh.
So, there's the movie Annihilation and the Jeff Vandermeer series, the Southern Reach trilogy of Annihilation, Absolution. Absolution is the new one, Authority, Acceptance. And now, as Kindle has been foisting upon me for the past several months to pre-order Absolution, which is the fourth book in the Southern Reach series, I don't like those other 3 books. I don't see what people see
But
in
you
Annihilation.
like Annihilation, or no?
I like the movie Annihilation. I think the book sucks. Regardless, I read all 3 of them.
Talk about getting annihilated.
Yeah. With diminishing returns. It's like Annihilation itself, I can sort of see what people see in it. I don't like it. Then there's like 2 big stylistic shifts in this 2 and 3 that just do not work. And I think out of morbid curiosity, I picked up Absolution.
Uh-oh.
In coming at it in good faith, fucking dog shit. It's so bad. I don't understand the Jeff Vandermeer thing. It just completely does not work. In a third of the
What
book,
don't you like about it? Yeah.
okay,
Is he the author or a character?
he
He's
is
the
the
author.
author.
Okay.
I think there's a thing that's really lazy when you write surreal horror where you want to gesture to something like Lovecraftian and unknowable, like horrors beyond our comprehension or whatever. But instead of actually coming up with that it makes it seem like it's horrors beyond the author's comprehension, because it's like you're not actually describing anything. You're just not actually coming up with anything.
Burn.
Yeah, this is a burn. I love it.
And there are many, 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 many things that irritate me about it. Like I was...
Say them all.
Okay, you can search on Kindle. I'm going to knock this lamp over.
Yeah.
You can search phrases. So I search as
Angry
if.
podcaster annihilates lamp.
Yeah, it's the way that he structures similes and like the way that he compares things. It's just so repetitive, so dull. He indulges too much in like hypotheticals where like this character being like, almost as if I did this thing. Well, talk about what they're actually doing. Don't do 3 pages of like, well, they almost did this. It's just non-committal.
Do you think it was written by AI? Do you think he's just gone right like me?
No, but I'd be curious to see what AI would do with.
I think he
feeding
wrote a lot of stuff
everyone.
of like, that's I.
Or a ghostwriter? I mean,
AI
Isaac Asimov ended up.
annihilation.
Yeah. That's right. It's true. You can't
Nice.
spell annihilation without AI. That is very true.
And you know what? For full haterdom, I went back and I reread Annihilation again just to like prove to myself.
And it still hated it.
Yes. Also, the third part of Absolution is from the point of view of a character who says fuck every other word, and I'm not being hyperbolic when
So
I
you
say that.
related to it.
What can I say? No, it's so fucking grating to fuck shitting, read fuck every
now you
other
sound like
fuck
Audrey.
word. Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, so my lemon is that I fucking hate the Annihilation series, which sucks because it's the House of Leaves syndrome, where it's like, oh, your morsel of an idea is so good, so rich, and you've squandered it, you piece of shit.
I feel that often as a comedian when you go, I've got a great idea for a sitcom. Oh shit, somebody already took something close enough that I can now not do my idea because yours was what
Right.
my idea was, but yours was done poorly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hate that.
I have to get the iPad because I have to play you guys something that this reminds me of, and I can't do it from the phone.
Can
So
I trouble you for more water? Because
Are you going all the way into the house?
I am because I have to get it. But keep
Okay.
going.
All right. Are we still podcasting?
Yes.
I was going to talk root beer, but
hating dried me out.
hating. She's so dry.
Hot seat. Hot seat action.
Alrighty.
You snooze, you
All right.
lose,
All
Brian.
right, we're locking
All
the
right.
door.
I'm going to do this one.
Go
This
on.
is my lemon.
Proper cheer up against that door.
We could.
Honey, we'll keep you. Don't worry. All right. So,
So what have you been talking about? I've been sitting there, but not really listening.
we're doing
I heard
lemons.
herpes at some point,
Yeah.
and the West Wing. I thought they were related.
It grows on you. The West Wing.
Like
never
herpes?
And they
leaves
both
you.
take about 7 years
Never
to get
leaves
through.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay, this is my lemon, right?
Go for it,
I
lemon.
love root beer. And you picked me up from a supermarket and we ran in, and it was one of those health supermarkets, and I saw this last minute in the fridge. We were just buying water and I saw this, I went, ooh, root beer, but healthy root beer. Yes, that would be great. And I checked the ingredients. There's certain things I don't have, like lots of artificial sweeteners and things like that I don't have. But I didn't totally clock on the front. It says at the top, health aid, no stevia, great. non-GMO, okay. But at the bottom it goes prebiotics. I'm all right with that. I drink kombucha, you know, for my health. Vitamins and minerals, and that kind of it isn't root beer. I don't know what it is. It's like you tried a bit.
Yeah.
This is the most disappointing can of drink I've ever come across.
It feels like the happy shopper equivalent of the real thing. I have an issue with what I don't know what the real phrase is, or if there's a term for it, but like oxymoronic food, where it's like Coca-Cola's great, diet things aren't. Here's Diet Coke. Just don't have it. Have it or don't have it. Don't have the
shitty
right,
midway
yeah.
version.
like-
yeah.
Don't
So,
have
you
a
know,
healthy root beer.
Healthy root beer. Root beer's great. Healthy root beer, I don't see the point.
See, because I was prepared for the non-healthy. I was like, I am willing to put this much sugar into my body as long as it's not sweeteners. I do that periodically. I was willing to enjoy what was not going to be good. When it said, oh, we've got some good stuff in it, I went, I don't mind if there's some good stuff in it. But ultimately, what I want is a root beer hit. And what I'm getting is, I just can't even...
It just feels watered down.
Yeah, but watered down with vinegar.
Yeah.
It's like they took root beer and then went, let's top this up with apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yikes.
And then let's sell it. I don't know who buys this. Soda with
Well, you
benefits.
did.
There you go. Well, I know.
I
but
think these
bought it
companies exist just for enough people to buy it once
once
and then
and
regret
never
it.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know comedy clubs that work that way as well.
Yes.
Where if you just go, we'll sell one ticket. We'll sell tickets to these tourists because they'll never come again,
Yeah.
and we will be shit.
It's a hand-to-mouth economy, really, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and I keep putting this to my mouth. I don't.
Thank you.
Anyway, I now return you to your
Well, the worst of
regular
this is-
host of the podcast, co-host.
The worst thing
actually.
about this is that
Oh,
I
go on.
can't stop drinking it because every time I have it and it's disgusting, I'm like, but at least it's good for me.
This is the commercial for Sunsif.
You're caught in a trap. You
Oh.
can't look back. But I love you too much, baby. I'm off.
There he goes. Who's this asshole?
Paul, get it right.
Seamless
Now,
as
okay,
fuck.
see, that's what we do. So, relevant to the discussion, I apologize for the pause. I went into, Audrey came up with, we've been talking about riddles recently.
Okay.
Now, I sent this to you, but I don't think you heard it. All right. This is me talking to Audrey about the riddle of the Sphinx.
All right, Audrey. What riddle are we talking about?
The riddle of the Sphinx.
And what is the riddle of the Sphinx?
How the fuck did that Sphinx get there?
I think that is so funny. The riddle of the Sphinx. How the fuck did that Sphinx get there?
That's not the riddle of the Sphinx,
No,
though,
it's
right?
like
call me
walks on two
autistic,
legs
right?
in the- four legs in the morning.
Right. 2 legs
Yeah.
in the afternoon and 3
Yeah,
legs
yeah,
in the
yeah.
evening. Right. Okay.
But according to Audrey, the
It's
riddle
how
of the
the
Sphinx
Sphinx
is how the fuck did
And
that
where
Sphinx
did
get there?
where did its nose go?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
I thought it was so great.
Wow.
Anyway,
And what happened to its face? Nobody knows.
nobody knows. All right, so that
Where
was
are we?
wait, that was your lemon.
That was my lemon. You did your lemon.
I did my lemon
did the
while you were
lemon with
out.
Oh,
I did
wow.
my
Root
I did
beer,
my
okay.
lemon. It's this healthy root beer, which is just
right.
I'm still drinking it.
Okay, now
All
it's
right.
peach time.
Now it's time for peaches, which are 3 things that are nice, good, happy, fun, whatever. I will go through mine very quickly. My first one is that last night, to celebrate Halloween, was on Discord call with gamers watching old Twilight Zone episodes.
Hell yeah, we were just talking about old Twilight Zone.
Really?
Which ones did
That's
you watch?
nice.
Tell
We
me
did
everything.
like the first couple of episodes of the first season. Like I think we left off on the one where the guy like goes to the soda jerk and then ends up back in time
Yep,
and like
yep,
his
yep.
kid self falls. Yeah, that was the one that we
and
left
then he has
off
the
on.
limp at the end. Yep.
Yeah. So that's always great. I love Twilight Zone so much.
Yeah.
My second peach is that you got a vinyl of Scruff McGruff, the crime dog,
The crime dog, yes.
singing the best songs of all time. And because I'm here in person at your home, you played it and we got to listen to it. So
Yes.
that made me very happy. And finally, my last peach is that I was able to cry in therapy. It's only taken me
Is that the first time?
years.
Sorry, is that a thing?
Yeah. I think I've done it like once before, but like, you know, this is a real W for me. I'm so medicated. Just like, yay. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
But just so I can fully understand, because I'm autistic, therapy makes me worse. So crying in therapy is an achievement.
Yes, because I have a hard time doing that in general. So being able to do it in the context of like, this is a safe space to cry in front of another person.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, congrats.
So that's me.
Great.
Peaches.
Peaches, Rhea, do you want to do 3 peaches?
There's just things that, like, I don't know about anyone else, but I find that the best sleep you ever get is when you fall asleep on the sofa when you should have gone to bed.
That's 100% true.
Just,
Yep,
I don't know what it
absolutely
is.
true.
I have
You got
no
it.
idea what it is. It happened. So I'm jet lagged here, but the friends I'm staying with are so lovely. And I think twice now they've just left me on the sofa.
It's the best.
I mean, and I'm like, I can't be found here in the morning. And I do eventually get up, as I do at home, at like 3, 4 in the morning and stumble to the bathroom and brush my teeth and then go to bed. But there's just, I don't know what it
something
is.
magical about it.
That you can survive on less sleep in a week if you fell asleep on the sofa a couple of times in it. So
Similar lovely sleep for me is movie theater sleep. When you're watching a film and you fall asleep in the middle of it. I love it.
except I feel bad because I've paid
Well,
way
I do
over
feel
the
bad,
odds
but
for
I
that.
sleep really well.
Yeah, I think that's a death. I mean, if you've taken, like, I did fall asleep. I took my kid to an anime film. Couldn't even tell you which one. I'm so sorry. But he really wanted to go see it. And going to the cinema is one of the things I do with the kids that my ex doesn't. And so I was like, yeah, of course we'll go. And I went, and I was away for most of it. But I did. You're right.
Yeah,
I did.
that's
That's
a
the
very
one time I'm
parent thing
like,
to do, too.
I don't mind sleeping through this.
Yep.
When it's sofa plus TV on, but
Yes.
not like, I'm talking early 2000s, like late night Food Network is my ultimate there. Like when they start doing replays of Unwrapped with Mark Summers.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's the goods.
In the UK, we had 5 TV channels. In that time period, there were only 5 TV channels, if you can wrap your head around that. 5. And the 5th one was a very late comer to the world of television, and it therefore had to scoop up all of the slightly trashy magazine next to the till type programming. But late at night, it would show poker at night, and that
Like World Series of Poker
dude,
type
whatever,
stuff. Yeah.
just games. I couldn't even tell you, just games of poker. And it really did increase the number of guys that thought they knew how to play poker simply because they'd come home drunk and watch poker on this
yeah.
channel. But falling asleep to that. So that would be my
that sounds
equivalent.
really
It's just
good.
coming in,
Yeah.
You're adrenalized from a gig and then you fall asleep
Yeah.
to the
And then you're
poker
out.
and then,
I love it. All right.
yeah.
So that's
So
peach one.
one.
Peach
That's
one.
peach 1. Peach 2. Can I just say, in contrast to the root beer, to the healthy root beer, I've very much been enjoying Audrey's Halloween candy.
Well, you can thank her yourself in about 5
I will
minutes.
be thinking, well, should I though? I feel bad if
No,
I
no,
go
she'd
up to her
love
and
it.
say, hi, I'm so sorry. I've gone through your
She's
Halloween candy without
she
you here.
actually is a very generous, pathetic kid, and she will love it.
Oh, bless her. So
Yeah.
I've just, it is a throwback. I mean, we don't eat sweets as adults the way that we, with the gay abandon that we did as children.
Speak
And
for
so-
yourself.
So I've just really been enjoying also just the range of sweets that you have here. There's something different about how you make your sweets. You add something. I don't know what you put in them,
chocolate's worse.
MSG or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but chocolates are not sweets. Like, so you've got chocolate and you've got sweets.
Some
They're two
people
different
don't call
things.
chocolate candy.
Yeah, no. Well, sweets is everything, but is not chocolate.
Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting.
I use candy the same way I do, which includes chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Candy can include. I don't. I
Some
guess
people,
you do.
I have
Candy?
heard
I don't
other
know.
people say candy isn't chocolate, like using it to mean
But
what you.
but a
like,
candy
like,
bar
this
is chocolate, isn't it?
But
That's definitely
that is
candy.
true. Yeah, this is anyway.
But
I've heard
but
other people use this word this way.
This is the thing, because we're so careful with our health and everything these days, and so allowing yourself to just eat it and go, you know what, I am not going to feel guilty about this today. That's beautiful, because otherwise you always have that little voice going, you don't need this croissant for breakfast, you
Yeah.
don't need to have this extra cup of coffee, you
100%,
don't need to, and so coming here and just going, do you know what, I'm just going to enjoy myself. Like, there's
Great.
plenty. Can I just say, there's plenty left in her bucket in case people
Oh
are
no,
going.
it's
but,
true, and I offered it. That's all good.
But yeah. So just enjoying that. The slight lemon is I opened one of those little 2 packs of Starburst and they were both orange.
Well, you know
and
what? I'll
people
eat them 'cause
who
I love
follow me
orange.
on socials know that I do not do orange sweets. So that was disappointing.
Peach.
But
That's peach too.
yeah, that's peach too. No.
Do you have a-
Yeah, peach. Yes, peach too. Sorry, you confused me with
Yeah.
orange and peaches.
This is orange
That's true.
too.
Yeah.
And then peach 3, which I recognize is something that not everyone can do. Because I'm autistic, I also have hypermobility. And so one of the things I do have to do when I travel a lot is get massages.
Mm-hmm.
And And it's become, and it used to be something that I'm very lucky now that I can afford to have them as often as I therapeutically need them.
Yeah.
But there was a time where I didn't. So I'm very grateful for them when I do have them. Every time I go in, and there are times where I have to do weekly because I travel most weekends for work, and I'll, especially when I'm on tour, then you're just a different city
sure.
every night around the UK. And I come back, and every Sunday I have this place I go to, and they're lovely Thai spa near my house, and they recently refurbished, and they were getting rid of their infrared sauna, so they gave it to me.
What?
Whoa.
They gave
That's
me,
cool.
and I'm so grateful. I'm like, you have no idea how much I need this. But they'll tell me off because they're like, Thai aunties. And
Zero
just
fucks.
but they do. They kind of stand on me or they sit on me and they're just like, you need to come in more frequently. And I'm like, I was literally here a week ago. I can't come in any more frequently. Like I can't
That's
afford
so
it.
funny. Yeah.
So that's my other piece is just being able when you can. I just think it's so important to, if you've got the money, I don't know what your lifestyles are like, but if you, whatever you save up money for. I don't drink and I don't smoke and and I don't eat candy very frequently, and therefore it means I have enough money to do stuff like that. And it's just, I think it's a hard lesson to learn, but self-care, once you accept that it is actually necessary, we are taught not to appreciate it as a necessary
Absolutely
part
true.
of life.
Yes, 100%.
It's actively taught to you. And we were actively taught that mental health doesn't exist and it's not something. All of my children, if they need a mental health day off school, I've always said that's fine.
Audrey, we offered a therapist.
school hears
and
this, I'm in
she
so much
knows
trouble.
therapy is like a normal part of life and good for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So massage is part of my self-care routine.
I love it.
It's a big
great.
peach.
Yeah.
Love
totally.
that.
My peaches. Okay. Peach number one, Paul Gannon's in town.
Yay!
We make these friends throughout life we never get to spend enough time with, and he just came out to hang out for a week, no work, just to chill, and it's been lovely spending time with him. So, we've known each other for more than 10 years now, and
Love you, Brian.
Love you, Paul.
Love you.
It's great to have you.
I
here.
share that peach.
But,
Because
yeah.
we did not plan our trips, but it turns out that we landed within an hour of each other.
Yes,
and
you said you saw each other at
Get
the-
this for
yeah.
Peach. He waited for me at baggage claim, and we just had an
I know.
hour catching up while we waited for the bus.
He paid right, so he took a different flyaway, and he said, "Oh, I was waiting with Ria," and I was like, "Would you guys were on the same flight?" He said, "No, we just ended up there at the same time."
At the same time.
Which is really fun.
Yeah.
So that's my first big peach. And we've done all sorts of fun things, and we'll continue. Yesterday, we went out in Burbank. We went to the Mystic Museum. We went to Halloween Town, which I'd never been to.
What is that? What is Halloween Town?
Halloween Town is a store with tons of Halloween shit, and it's fucking awesome. It's if you like Halloween shit, you'd love Halloween Town. They have a separate costume store, but there's if you want, they have figures from all sorts of movies and masks and books and whatever you got. It's all Halloween stuff.
wow.
It's great. All right, so that's
Bring
my
that there.
peach number one.
Okay. That's two. No, that's one. That's
one.
still Paul Gannon?
That's one. Still Paul Gannon.
nice.
Paul could be all three peaches, but so as not to stoke his ego unnecessarily, I'm going to add two more. Peach number two, I went to the dentist yesterday, and it's always nice when you go to the dentist. I do it, actually every 4 months I get a cleaning.
Sorry, what?
Every here they say every 6 months because I have some gum issues. They've recommended I come back every 4 months, which is good.
Again, how do you know that isn't just them making money out of you? We do it every year
because
in the UK.
I will. That's right. I will
And
say.
I know some people are going, but have you seen the state of the teeth in the UK? I get that, but
this
still.
dentist has been scrupulously honest with me. a
great,
lot.
great.
And I do try. I don't know is the short answer. However, I do trust him.
Okay.
And it's always nice when you go in, and I have a gum thing. Just
He has a dead
gum
guy's
recession.
gum.
I do. I did get gum surgery.
Yeah.
and they put corpse gums into my face.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What?
So they, okay, late at night, they went to a graveyard
Yeah. Okay.
with a shovel.
I mean, who
and a
doesn't?
petri dish.
Right.
No, I had to get some. I was having some gum recession. They had to put some extra gums in.
But
They put the
got
gums
it
in.
from
I said, "Where'd you get those gums?" And it turns out they got them from
a donor.
a gum donor.
Folks, you heard it here first. If you haven't already, please sign up to be an organ donor, remembering that somebody might need your gums.
That's right.
It might go to a
Specifically
podcaster.
me, baby. But yeah, you go to the dentist like everything's looking great. And this is the kind of thing that when I got the thing done, they're like, you might get like a couple years out of this. It's been a while. Everything's looking great.
Do you
So-
do you find that you like have a different taste in food now that you have another man's gums in your mouth?
No, but it feels like I'm constantly making out with someone.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yes,
You always have a semi,
Number
huh?
3.
that's right. You say I always have a semi?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Number 3, I think I mentioned this on the last episode, but I can't remember. I went to Las Vegas this past weekend for SciCon, a skeptics conference. And I saw a bunch of friends from the Skeptics Guide to the Universe that I don't normally get to see.
I'm so glad you explained skeptics because when you first said SciCon, I spelt it SCI, but you mean PSY, don't you?
No, I mean CSI? Yes, CSI.
Oh,
I believe.
CSI. See, okay, that's a totally different con. I wasn't
Yes,
even.
as well. But I had a great time in Vegas. I stayed at the Venetian. The conference was at the Horseshoe. I saw a bunch of old friends I don't get to see often. And apart from the prices, which are fucking insane right now, paid $27 for an old fashioned at a bar, which is dumb.
One drink.
One drink. And I stopped ordering drinks after that because I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Almost $30 for a drink.
Why didn't you just sit at the roulette table? I hear the drinks are free there.
I should have, but I don't really gamble. So.
Well, you did.
I mean, I gamble in the sense of
You
prance
ordered an
around
old
the field,
fashioned.
but, yeah. Thank you.
I think you also gambled
Thank
at the
you
bar
very
when
much.
you ordered
That's
an
right.
old fashioned.
I did. The guy said the price, and I had to do the, the fuck thing that I do.
Brian's classic
That's my new
catchphrase.
phrase.
Duh
No,
fuck.
look, I'll say it to the camera. The fuck.
Spelled with a
Anyway,
Q.
that's right. D-A-F-
Exactly.
DAFUQ is how you say that. But I had a great time. Drove out. It's 4 hours from here. Drove out. Stayed. Drove back. Went to, as we discussed, a restaurant with some weird AI art of celebrities as eggs. And
That
I
you
had
didn't
a-
realize
So I
was
didn't
AI
realize it was
until we
AI,
talked
but
about
I definitely
it.
should have. I was too busy eating my huevos rancheros to appreciate
Right.
the AI. But it was a great time. And that is my third and final peach.
Well.
What a great peach.
It would
It was a
appear
lot of fun.
that that's our show.
Oh my God, we did it. Rhea, thank you so much for being here. It's lovely
Such
to
a
meet
pleasure.
you. We picked you up, you came right in and started, and just thank you for
You
for
are
being
both
here.
so fascinating.
Oh, thank
Well,
you.
it is
You
mutual.
are.
You're fascinating.
I wish that Brian had shut up more about physics so we could have asked you more about your life and your career because
Oh
I'm
my God, we
very
didn't even
interested
cover comedy, did we?
We didn't even cover comedy.
We didn't
Oh
really
my
talk
gosh,
about
we
the
didn't.
forensic stuff. Like, I'm very curious.
I
Anyway,
feel like I was kind of targeted in that comment, but that's fine.
what? No, I've never done that. Where can people find your work or your socials, or where do you want to point
So-
people to?
I am on all the socials like a whore. It's real. If you search Lina, which is RIALINA, you should find me. Sometimes I have an underscore. Sometimes it's official, depending on who got there first. But find me, follow me. That would be that would be great.
Well, the physics may have been theoretical, but our joy here today, palpable.
Well,
Thanks,
In all
everyone.
dimensions.
Yeah.
that's right. All right. Thank you,
All right.
Rhea. Thank you, everybody.
Goodbye, good night,
Good night.
farewell.
Late Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gray. Sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/LeightonNight. Follow us on Twitter at LeightonNight, on Instagram at Leighton_night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.